Welcome to Armchair Expert. I'm Dan Rather. I'm joined by Lily Padman.
Hi.
Padman. You think that's that? That's not that.
It was a little bit that.
No.
Sounded a little bit that.
Thank you. What were you being then?
Padman. It is something, but it's not an Indian accent. I know that's what you think.
Yeah.
Padman. Lily Padman.
No, you didn't.
Padman.
It's starting to sound like when you say fork over and over again, and that
It loses its
meaning.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I could do it just to show you what that would have been to
be racist.
No, to neutralize the first allegation, to
Oh God!
clear
oh my God!
yeah,
Okay.
to defend myself,
Let me
to
teach
clear
you.
myself.
Can I teach you something?
Teach me.
I want to teach you something.
All right.
If
Classes in
if
session.
you are trying to show that you're not racist by them being racist, it's not a good move.
It doesn't
yield the
neutralize the
results that you think it will.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe do like a pirate.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of
Well, but
That's what I thought he was doing.
it doesn't articulate my point, which is like that's not my Indian accent.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
You're saying that if you want to prove that what you did was not your Indian accent, you have to do your Indian accent in
Exactly.
order for us to see. But I'm trying to teach you to just say, cut it.
Okay, cut it all out.
You want to start
This
over?
is
No,
this
we
is
have to
actually
keep it all.
this couldn't be more on
Brand.
topic, kind of, because David Sedaris is here and he says naughty stuff all the time.
He sure does.
But he gets away with it and I don't.
He
As I
does.
shouldn't.
That's
Nor
right.
should I.
One of our only guests who can flip-flop from a Monday to a Thursday.
He can be anywhere.
He
Put him on
can.
a Sunday. We could put him on Armchair and Dangerous, really, because
Okay.
he's a threat.
Well, no.
He is a threat to America. David Sedaris, this is number
We
4,
love
maybe?
him. Yeah?
Yeah, number 4.
3 or 4.
Definitely 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 or 10.
I hope to have him 100 times.
Yes, me too.
He could be on once a month for me. Sedaris is the greatest American essayist alive.
Oh.
He's so brilliant. He's a comedian. He's an author. His books, Happy Go Lucky, A Carnival of Snackery, Calypso, Me Talk Pretty One Day, Dress Your Family in Corduroy. Remember that one?
Yeah, corduroy and denim.
He has a new paperback edition of Happy Go Lucky out at the end of May, but even more exciting, he is launching his speaking tour on April 29th and 30th here at the Ace Hotel in Los Angeles. So if you want tickets, please check that out at davidsedarisbooks.com. We love him. We adore him. David Sedaris.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
As an avid shopper, I need your 2 cents on this new chair.
I want you to be really honest.
He will be.
Hideous.
It's hideous, right?
Hideous.
My feet don't even touch the ground. I'm like, who's this chair for? I'm 6'2".
You can wear any shoes though, right? You don't have bunions or foot problems?
I don't.
Okay. Yoshi Yamamoto, a couple of seasons ago, made a pair of shoes that look like they're just rags on your feet. Those would be perfect to wear with that outfit.
Oh,
Well, okay, I'll look into those
It
for
looked
sure.
like you wrapped your feet in rags. And I would have bought umpteen pairs. You know what else might be good for you with those? I just bought Comme des Garçons, their spring, summer
ooh.
this season.
Uh-huh.
It's full out clown wear.
Wait, is it the red ones?
They have ketchup and mustard colored.
Okay.
They have hot pink and lime green.
Ooh.
They have a black and white saddle shoe, but the toe is bulbous.
Huge. Yes,
And
I've
very
seen this.
soft, so people with bunions can wear them.
Oh, and it's fashion.
I got every color, and I got 2 of the black and whites.
So much to unpack there. Do you have bunions?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Because I have a joke, weirdly, I wrote for you today, and it involves bunions. And I thought,
Oh.
are bunions too obscure? But no, you're the owner of some bunions. I've always liked that look. If you recall, Doc Martin would sometimes do a clown flare rounded boot. And in my youth, I really liked that.
I don't remember those. In my youth, I didn't have bunions. They just, one day I looked down, and there they were.
Well, you do a lot of walking. I'm sure that's exacerbating the bunions.
My feet are completely flat.
Oh.
And so I don't know if that makes me more prone to bunions. But I've known people who have had bunionectomies, but often the bunions come back.
Yeah, they're
Bunionectomy.
robust little barnacles, right? They like to come back.
And my friend managed a shoe store for 40 years, and she said, as long as you can walk, you shouldn't have your feet operated on.
Oh, that's smart.
I think that's true of most operations, right? They're way less successful than we want to believe they are. 50% of all back surgeries are not successful. That's not great odds.
Well, how fat would you be if you had to be off your feet for 6 months?
I would get big. I'm the smallest shepherd by a lot.
If I couldn't walk and I was just sitting there, I would just eat.
And that's not even to say what would happen mentally. I mean, that's the main thing. We just had a friend over and she's throwing everything in the kitchen sink at her mental health. She's involved in so many different techniques. And I have to say, I had the cynical thought of like, I wonder if you just walked 4 miles a day, if you would have really any problem. I just, anecdotally, I've never been in a bad mood after I've exercised for a couple hours. It's just almost impossible. It like beats it out of you or something. And I just wondered, there's so many professionals involved in this, and I just am curious. I'd love to clone her and just have her walk 5 miles a day and see what happened.
I feel the same. So if I couldn't do that,
Yeah, it'd be
know
rough.
what. But you were talking about back surgery, and I know you're not supposed to talk this way about yourself, and I know what it sounds like, but still, I'm pretty proud of myself. I was in New York a couple of days ago, and there was a man, and he had a walker, and he had turned the walker back to front and was clinging to it with both arms, while his German Shepherd was defecating on the sidewalk. And I stopped and I said, I am not a dog person. I said, I'm the opposite of a dog person. But
Oh, this is so exciting.
Oh,
Let's
and
do
feel
it.
free to answer it.
no one has ever called me, ever. That's the first time like anyone's ever called me on the
Who
telephone.
was it?
I
George Clooney?
I don't know. It just said New York. I turned it
Spam.
off. I'm so sorry.
Probably your warranty's probably expiring on your car.
I said, I'm not a dog person. My worst nightmare is picking that shit up off the sidewalk. But it seems like you had to have a hard time doing it yourself. And he said, I just had back surgery. And he said, I would so appreciate it. Now, I still gave him the bag after I picked up the dog shit.
Yeah.
But it was like,
that's not
it
on
was
you.
like mashed potatoes, not right when they come off. But if you think, you know what, I think I'm going to have seconds of mashed potatoes. That's what it was like picking up. Except, it smelled like shit. But I
proud of
thought,
you.
I know that sounds like a dick to talk about a good thing you did, but don't you feel sometimes when you see somebody taking a baby carriage by themselves down the stairs of the subway or something, and you watch all these men go by, and you think, what would your mother say if she saw you walk by that?
Yeah. Be disappointed.
Yeah.
I live for those opportunities because in general, I don't have great empathy for the larger world. Intellectually, I do, but I don't feel the emotions my wife feels when she's watching the Syrian refugees. And I feel bad about it, but I'm just being honest. So those little things are so manageable for me. I always pull over if I see someone's on the side of the road that has a flat tire.
That's big.
I've done that a dozen times. I always check if someone's broken down. Those things I love because there's a problem, there's a fucking solution. The guy's on a walker, there's shit on the ground, boom, bingo, bango, you're done. You've solved the problem. And it's very rewarding.
I was in Hawaii and this guy, his car died. And so I offered him a push. And I swear to God, I didn't mean I'd push him home. I couldn't believe it. I meant like I'd push you to the curb.
Yeah.
Sure.
And he kept staring. He wasn't. But I don't think it's right either if you're in distress and somebody offers you help and you say, no, thank you. That's an embarrassment.
Yeah, just
That's
take
embarrassing
it.
to them.
Yeah.
Take the help.
Well,
agree.
I'll be honest. That's generally me. I'm prone to go like, I got it. And I clearly don't have it. But accepting help is so hard for me.
I just reached an age where people start offering your seat on the subway.
Yeah.
And then at first I said, how old do you think I am? And then I thought, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, why not?
Thank you so much. I'll take it. Or, sometimes you see somebody on the subway who's on crutches or pregnant or something, and then everybody's looking down.
Yeah.
Everybody's so into their phone at that moment. Come on, there's no way you don't notice that.
Okay, but where is the line drawn? Like children should stand?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the most able-bodied out of all of
Yeah.
us.
I see like a 5-6-year-old. Nope.
Yeah, and they're antsy.
You
They
can
don't.
run everywhere you want to go. You can stand on the subway.
It's not really a favor to them. But just a woman? I don't go for that. Do you? If there's like a woman my age who looks healthy, no, right?
No, if it's borderline, like you can't tell if they're pregnant or they're
Oh,
old,
yeah,
but you don't want to insult them. You just stand up like,
Yeah, you don't have to
this is
offer
my stop.
anything.
And then they just take your seat, but you don't make a deal of it.
Put the ball in their court.
Yeah.
But then how long would you be standing there where they hadn't taken it, where you're like,
No.
okay, well, fuck this. I'm going back to the seat.
I was on a bus in Mexico once, and it was this old woman with her husband, and I stood up to give her my seat, and he took it. And I stood for 5 hours on a bus
Oh my God.
in Mexico.
You earned some karma points for that one for sure.
I would have sat on his lap at that point. The timing of you coming is absolutely perfect because I sent you a postcard with the address you gave me, and then it was returned to me like 3-4 days ago. And I thought, well, fuck, what do I do now? I had the address, so you're here, and so now I can hand deliver it
great.
to you.
Oh, I wonder what
Went wrong?
the
Yeah, you feel
address
free to
was.
peel that part off to make sure that I have the right address. I think I took it.
No,
down.
you were 10 streets off.
I was?
Yeah. Did I send you a postcard from India recently?
If you had.
It might just not have gotten here yet.
Right. You did send me one from Japan.
Ah.
So it's like January 2021 here. Or
Yeah, it was.
Right?
Oh.
I mean, I was in Tokyo a couple months ago. Everybody wears a mask all the time on the street. You were still having your temperature taken in stores. You go to a restaurant, you wear your mask, you kind of keep it on when you order, you take it off tentatively while you eat, you put it back on to go to the restroom. It's like,
Oh,
come on.
They might not
just-
return. They
Well,
might
they just
like
loosened it, I think, last week maybe, but I don't know what that means.
Right. Like,
You know?
what's different? We just had this conversation because I went to the gynecologist and she was wearing a mask. And I was like, oh, all the doctors there are wearing a mask. And then we said, maybe gynecologists are going to continue to wear masks. That's better for them.
Well, and then we extended it
faces
also
are
to
in our-
proctologists.
But then
Vaginas.
they can only catch their breath in snatches.
Ah, there it is. There he is.
We thought also proctologists should maybe say that they're afraid of COVID indefinitely.
Yeah.
And then we suggested maybe just taping a Jolly Rancher to the inside of your mask so that it always smelled great.
If I were
Fresh.
a doctor, you know, like when you're a man and you go to the doctor, they stick their finger up your ass, right?
Yeah.
To check your prostate. I would do it, and then I would make sure that when the person turned around, I would be zipping my fly back up.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah,
That's the,
women don't make those kinds of jokes.
A woman goes to her gynecologist who settles her in and begins her exam saying, "You've got the biggest vagina I've ever seen in my life. You've got the biggest vagina I've ever seen in my life." She says, "You don't have to say it twice." He says, "I didn't."
Oh, that's good.
That's great. This is kind of self-indulgent, but I want you to read this postcard.
Oh, sure.
It's important that you start with the return address.
Dax Shepard, Parenthood, Punk.
Those are some credits of mine.
Punked.
Yeah.
David, this is my very first postcard, but I want you to judge it as if it's my 10,000th. I like the idea that the person who delivered this to you may be reading it. Learning my wife, actress Kristen Bell, is having an affair with my uncle Randy, who incidentally celebrated the overturning of Roe v. Wade with a fireworks display while over-serving female minors. I have taken it in stride as I have recently reunited with my most recent love, pills. I hope this candid admission finds you well. I miss and look forward to our next motorcycle ride. With love and admiration, Dax. Help! That's what the crow on it
The crow
is saying.
saying that.
Help!
Yeah. I really was enjoying the notion that the person reads it. Because having never sent a postcard, I was immediately struck with like, this is out in the open.
Do they? I mean, I always wonder if they do.
I would.
Wouldn't you?
I have a postcard collection, so often the postcards, they're written on already.
Uh-huh.
And it's so rare to find something written on the back of a postcard that's interesting. You know? So probably postmen are like, it's not really worth my time. You know, maybe they scan it for the word
Kristen Bell.
anal warts.
Yes. Roe v. Wade. I tried to put some hot button items in there. But you've sent me some beautiful ones, and they're very special to me, and I've framed them, and they're above the dresser in my bedroom. I love receiving them.
I take care in the postcards that I send. Like, I don't feel like I send junk postcards. Like, I'm always on the lookout for some postcards that are beautiful to me or that are interesting to me. I had my own printed one time,
Oh.
and that was a great idea. I was at a veterinary college. There were these photographs of different animal skulls on the wall. And there was a skull of a Pekingese against a black background. So I tracked down the person who had taken the photo and got her permission and made some postcards.
Cool.
And then I had the roofer of our house at the time in England write on a piece of paper, abortions, $3. And so I had that turned into postcards.
Did you think his writing was going to somehow make it more authentic?
It was just better than mine.
Yeah.
You need to look at that writing and then say, that's a good price for an abortion. But I think I'll do it myself.
Yeah, it's too cheap, actually. Anything under $15, I'd be really worried about the safety of the procedure. I kind of stressed myself out about the postcard because you do send really good ones. Like you're finding these bizarre, obscure ones. You sent one that led to me buying the book. It's advice from this doctor from the 50s.
Oh, right. Somebody gave me that book. His last name started with the C. I made that.
Oh, you made that
Yeah,
postcard. Wonderful. So it covers the board, really. He's got advice on everything. And he was a popular doctor in the 50s or 60s. And we'll read it in bed sometimes because the advice is horrendous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
horrific.
it's really, really bad advice.
It's all about keeping your wife in her place and keeping her
Oh.
subservient and
Yes.
anything related to gay people that basically it's like they need to be set on fire. But at the time, he was highly regarded.
Yeah, as an esteemed doctor.
Yeah.
There's some hints about his own sexual proclivities. I wish I had brought the book down from upstairs because I circled some stuff. Like he's letting some secrets in. He's really into the wife needs to dress up for sex. That's one of
Like
his
lingerie?
Yeah, just event ties it for him. He's had a
sure.
long day at work and all
Yeah.
these different reasons why
hard to
she
be a
needs to
man.
get into character in the evening. It is. Not a lot of emotions flying around in the 50s from that male workplace.
But yeah, I turned the cover of it into a postcard. I just made a bunch of postcards from, I don't remember now if he's Russian or Ukrainian, but he's a photographer who took the most depressing pictures of alcoholics in Ukraine and Russia. You know, with scabs on their faces who have fallen down and stuff, and it almost gives you a stomach ache. So I turned some of those into postcards.
You had no choice.
That's a good gift idea.
Making postcards for that say something about the friend of yours.
Because all you need is spray mount.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
saying you're making them by hand? You're not like taking them to Kinko's and having a couple hundred blasted off?
No.
You're doing these by hand.
Oh, yeah, but it's easy. You know, all you need is spray mount and a paper cutter.
Whoa, so the
Okay.
one you have is made by hand.
It's handmade?
Dr. Crane.
Dr. Crane. Yes, I implore everyone to look up Dr. Crane. Do you think his estate may come after you for copyright infringement for printing these unauthorized postcards?
No, I just made the one.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow, that's
So
a singular
special.
one?
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Thank God I framed it.
I just got some good postcards. I was just in Australia, and I went to a place I'd always wanted to go to in Tasmania called the Museum of Old and New Art, Mona. And a billionaire, he made his money online gambling, I think. Not gambling himself, but setting it up so that other people could. And then he opened a museum. And one of the things in the museum, and it wasn't there when we went, was it's like a toilet kind of thing, and there's a camera in it, and it broadcasts your anus.
Oh, wow.
Huge. Like,
And you
I
watch
think
people.
I'm okay if I don't know what mine
Yeah.
looks like.
I don't
right?
want to know.
But they built a man-made colon, and they feed it at 11 in the morning, and it defecates at 2 in the afternoon. And you couldn't believe what it smelled like. And it's in this big, beautiful room. And I'd never smelled anything quite like it.
Oh, my God.
And they said, no, it's just breaking the food down.
That causes the
Yeah.
smell.
But then there's Picasso pottery.
oh, my God.
And and in the gift shop, I bought some great postcards, and I bought 4 bars of soap that were cast from 4 different women's vaginas.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Did the shape surprise you?
Yeah, this is a good question.
Yeah.
In what way? Was it like deeper and longer than you were expecting? Was it a
Everyone
cast of the
was slightly
vulva, or was
different.
it like they had filled the vagina with wax and it hardened?
No, it was like the outside of.
Yeah,
the
the
vulva.
shape,
Yeah.
the outward shape.
The rose.
Yeah, it was just what a guy, does that make sense?
It's making sense, yeah.
Sure.
Dax is worried that
It looks
someone
like-
shoved wax up a woman's
Like had a woman do a
vagina.
handstand and then filled
No,
her
no.
full of wax
No,
and
no.
then took that out. Because that to me probably would be shockingly large.
But they sell it online at the gift shop, Mona, M-O-N-A, and it's $40 for a bar of soap, but such a good gift for people.
You didn't use the soap, did you?
No, I don't think anybody would. I think
Right.
it's so nice, and
Decorative.
it comes in a pretty box, and then you kind of
Yeah.
save it and
How does
put
it
it out.
smell?
Does it have a photo of the woman whose vagina it is? Because that
No.
would. Okay.
It smells like there are 4 different scents, like one sandalwood,
Okay.
one's rose.
Okay.
It's not like the Goop
Right.
vagina candle that
No.
Gwyneth Paltrow made.
No,
Back to the toilet exhibit, because I want to make sure I understand it correctly. They've built a mechanical digestion
Yes.
system.
Yes.
Okay. And they didn't try to make it look like a man on top of it. They're just packing a box full of food and letting it
it's
rot.
3 massive jars, and the food goes into one, and it goes into another, and then it defecates. The whole room smells because it's constantly breaking down the food.
Sure.
And it made me think, too, I spent 2 weeks at the medical examiner's office in Phoenix. They would do autopsies. And the most disturbing part of it wasn't the sight of it, but it was the smell of it. And I can't say they stink exactly, but it's a smell that says to your brain, run.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Death.
It's
Get
evolutionary.
as far away from here
Yeah.
as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Okay, this was actually one of the questions on my list. So you often write about shopping. You love shopping. And you and Amy in particular love shopping. And I just learned you have now this handful of vagina candles. Is it overwhelming? Where does it all go? Do you have a turnover policy? Do you have like a Marie Kondo methodology to keep everything moving inside the house?
The soap, I gave it away as gifts, and clothes, if there's something I haven't worn in a couple of years, then I find somebody, I try to find the right person because
That's nice.
not everyone would want it.
You're a specific size. The friend you're giving
Yeah.
the clothing to has to be your size.
Well, like there's a young man in England. He always helps out when I record my radio shows there. And he's my height. He has a 28 or 29-inch waist.
Oh.
Okay, very thin.
But he'll grow into it. It'll fit him one day, I'm pretty sure.
And you
Yeah.
send him what? Slacks or jackets or shirts or just anything?
Yeah, everything.
And how many parcels? Like, will you send an enormous box of clothing
No,
to
no,
him?
I give it to him there in
Oh.
England. But I mean, he's a good person to
Yeah,
give
that's
things to.
nice.
I've given things away on stage.
Okay. Well, Hugh's here. I doubt I'll get a real answer out of you, but is the house pretty cluttered with the stuff
Not a
David's
bit.
buying?
Not a bit.
No, he
he's
says
saying no.
Well,
Okay.
part of it is we got a couple.
You have a
houses.
few places to
Yeah.
spread it out. I have a similar thing. Like there's a new car I was looking at the other day, and my wife said, "You simply can't get it. There's no room. We can park it on the street." And I'm like, "No, but we're building a house in Nashville. I'll need cars there." And that has just opened up the floodgates to now I'm like back looking on Auto Trader, different things I have to have.
I tell myself that all the time because I never learned to drive a car. I've never paid car insurance. I've never gotten a ticket. So when I buy something crazy, I think,
you're
well,
saving money.
Yeah.
I do that math all the time, shopping math. I don't have a car payment, so I can buy these pants.
You're in my blind spot now.
I know.
But-
I'm
I
gonna
just
move
bought-
you up a little. Can I move you up?
Sure.
A little bit?
you can't see it at home, but these are 2 of the most hideous
Thank
chairs.
you. Thank
Right.
you, yes.
So that
I'm glad you
let's
said
talk
that.
about that. So
It's like God's hand has shit on it, and it's
holding-
got the 2 of you in the palm.
It's
like a
really
weird version
true.
of Adam and Eve.
It's rough. It's rough. Before this chair looked fine. But now you're right. This chair also looks disgusting.
Okay, can I just take you through how we ended up here? So that was the original chair. That's been here for 5 years, and it's got good luck. And
Yeah, I'm
it's-
afraid to get rid of it.
Yeah, but it's leather. So when I sweat during the interviews and it's against leather, my shirt gets wet. And then I
Yeah.
get really insecure when we leave here and we've got to take pictures with the guests and we put our arms
Sure.
around each other. Like, oh, fuck. What could be worse than touching someone's wet back? It's the worst. So I've tried to drape towels over it, which looks insane for the guests. Like, did he just get out of the shower? Why is there a towel over it? So then I was like, okay, the move is to get a fabric lazy boy. And then I just went on the website. You hate online shopping. It's closing down all these wonderful retailers in New York. I'm part of the problem. So I just go online and look at this. There's color swatches. I go, oh, that's wonderful. It looks like an old grandma's chair. And then I ordered it. And then it came 2 days ago. And I don't know why it's so big.
It's massive. It makes you look like a child.
It
And you're so
does.
big and you're sitting in it. But no fabric would make that chair look okay.
Okay, so
it
maybe
doesn't
this
exist.
is the best fabric. But let me just say, I recognize it's ugly, but I thought it might be ugly in a fun way. Could you say it's fun?
I'm sad that it's in the world.
Yeah.
Like when I look at it,
Thank you.
it just
Oh,
brings
boy.
me down. And then the fudge colored
It's
one, we had a sofa once when we were living in Paris. Somebody gave us a sofa or sold it to us for $50 or something. But it was kind of leatherette like that. You know, when you laid on it, you got sweaty.
Yeah,
and
stuck on
it
it.
was such a bad idea for a sofa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm so lazy that what's going to happen is I'm going to go back on the same website and roll the dice again, I think.
Oh,
Well, it's lazy boy, so they got you right there. You really don't have a choice.
Right. There is a showroom in like West Covina or something. So I guess I could make a weekend out of it and go pick one out in person. But I didn't
It's
know.
not going to be any better.
It's not.
Well, hold
it's
on.
not.
I'm asking you a sincere question. Do you think this is for a big and tall category, which I didn't even know they made
I
furniture?
think that that's for somebody, seriously,
Yeah.
who weighs between 500 and 600 pounds.
And is probably 6'4" or 5 because I'm 6'2", and as you can see, my feet just barely touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm only using like a third of it.
And it would be comfortable. I mean, I think it's for somebody who spends a lot of time in a chair.
Yeah, which you do.
It had to be function first. I can't go with something that's beautiful and I'm uncomfortable for 4 hours a day.
I read this book, and it was written by a woman who weighs, I don't know, maybe she weighed like 500 pounds. And she just talked about a lot of things that I'd never thought of. She would do public events, and the chairs weren't big enough to support her. Or she would be asked to step up onto the stage, and that was a lot,
Of
asking her to step
effort.
up. You know, I know somebody who was that size, and it's like, well, let's just run down to the Apple store and then we can come back. And didn't realize that she can't.
It's different.
Yeah.
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 Did you see The Whale?
Yeah.
You did. What did you think?
Well, I don't like to say bad things,
Yeah, me neither.
but I felt the script, you know, it was based on a play, and you
Yeah.
could tell that it was based on a play, not just because it was all in one room, but because of the way that people spoke in a kind of a stilted play-like way, and the way that they stopped, you know, like someone's going out of the room and then they stop. And I wanted to see that character in another movie. Get him on a jazzy, you know, like those
Oh, yeah. Little Rascal.
mobility scooters, get
Yeah.
him on a rascal, get him out of the house.
Mm-hmm. Fish out of water.
But I thought, okay, what if his boyfriend went to prison? So he got a life sentence. And so he started eating himself to death, and he got that big. But then the boyfriend's sentence was overturned. And the boyfriend comes home and is like, what the fuck happened to you?
Oh, right.
I mean, I just thought of so many other ways that it could be a cheerful
Yes.
Experience.
movie, not a movie in which he, you know, struggles and loses weight. And it didn't have to be that at all.
Yeah.
But anybody would have been gloomy in that apartment.
Yeah.
It didn't matter his size. If you were just stuck in that apartment with a lot of those people who were just a drag to be around, you needed better friends.
They are, but your options are so limited. If the requirement to being friends with you is you must come to my house and sit with me, that limits
Yeah.
the pool of people you can be friends with. So the story with he and his daughter moved me to no end. When she finally calls him daddy at the end, I was all fucked up. But I will tell you, it was my birthday. It was a surprise. My wife kind of just picked it. We're going to the movies, and then we're going to my favorite steakhouse, Morton's. And like by the end of the movie, nobody wanted to go to Morton's. And then we went to Morton's, and everyone was just like, oh, no, I don't want to be here.
Well, because he didn't want to eat a steak?
You just don't want to eat at all because you just watched him harming himself when he snaps and he's forcing himself to eat and he's throwing up. And it's all leading up to going out to dinner. And it just really ruined the whole dinner.
Do you ever watch My 600-Pound Life?
No.
Okay, because I like that show. It could be 20 minutes, but it's an hour. And I think it's interesting that the main figure, the weight loss doctor, has zero charisma. He mumbles. He has a heavy accent. You can't tell if he's angry or if he's bored. You know, you just can't. It's just the oddest person to build a show around.
Yeah.
And it's people, and they have that lap band surgery, but they have to get down to 600 pounds before they can have the surgery, right?
Right.
God.
And I'm guessing that they're poor people, and they say, we'll pay for the surgery. And so every person on the show is seen naked,
Oh.
you know, like trying to clean themselves,
Oh,
like trying
my
to
God.
take a shower.
Feels exploitative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought that would be another thing to have that same character be somebody like that on that show and show like backstage at that show and what the producers are trying to
Oh,
get you
wow.
to do.
Okay,
and-
you wrote a lot of scripts for this.
Yeah.
I
because
like it.
again, I like Brendan Fraser and I
Yeah.
like his character. I just thought he could shine.
I wonder if you and I had that in common when we were watching, where I was thinking
this is an addiction. This is someone regulating their emotions with something externally. And when you compare it to drugs look really safe.
Yeah.
I was thinking that. I was like, there's all these different addictions you could choose. You can choose gambling. You're probably going to lose your house and your kids' college fund. There's this addiction. You're probably going to die really prematurely and be immobile until that happens. Drug addiction starts looking a little bit better and better as an option. Or even sex addiction. You're going to probably, destroy your life and your marriage. And I just thought I might have picked the best one.
Also, when you think about it, I don't know what town he lived in. We don't really see anything but the apartment and the front porch of his apartment. But all the food that he has brought in, it's not even good food.
No,
like if you were going to eat yourself to death, then I'd want, better pizzas or better fried chicken.
Well, just like you'd want great drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to drink yourself to death, you'd want a good cocktail or a great beer.
Yeah.
But if you're in your addiction, you don't care, right? That's kind of the whole thing. It's not about quality. It's just like, get this in me.
But if you're a sex addict, if you have a choice between being a sex addict with somebody who's there's a guy he's in downtown LA and he interviews people. He's got like a beautiful light situation. He interviews people who are drug addicts and prostitutes, just people in horrible shape, but he makes them look as good as he can. Like he lights them very, very well. It'll come to me in a minute. But they're like people with massive craters in their arms.
Right, junkies.
And who are shoot up into their craters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a sex addict. So you can have sex with them. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I felt like when this guy was ordering his food. It was like, okay, you're eating yourself to death, but
well, maybe that was just a delivery situation. There wasn't Postmates or DoorDash.
We don't know.
And so the only places that are going to bring the food to your house are your pizza chains.
The best moment in that movie was when the pizza guy kind of waits so he can see what this person looks like. And that moment when they look at each other was the best moment.
Yeah. There was this curiosity, but it was like a benevolent curiosity. It didn't feel mean. It just felt like I have this relationship with this person. I'm bringing this all the time and I don't know who they are. And now I must know.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Do you have addictions?
He's an addict.
Alcohol and then drugs, but I quit like 23 years ago, something like that. Like I don't even really think about it anymore. But I've got a very addictive personality.
The walking is done in a manner that is pretty atypical. He is laughing hysterically right now.
It's a healthy...
This is the most wonderful dynamic to have someone's partner in the room.
Yeah, this is rare for us.
Yeah, it's almost like having them hooked to a lie detector test throughout the whole interview. I would say, David, are you clean around the house? And you go, yeah, I think so. And I could just look over at you and he'd be shaking his head. Like the truth is a mere 4 feet from you at all times, or at least a version of the truth. Do you feel attacked?
No, but I was going to say how this summer, my friend Dave got me onto Duolingo. It's a language learning app. And so that's become another thing that I have to do. Oh. And then I found out there's a leaderboard, right? And they pair you up with people around the world who you don't even know. And then all you care about is beating them.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And you don't even know who they are. And they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking, why do I care? Why am I doing this? And I can't stop it. If you're trying to learn that much, it's not sticking.
Yeah.
If you learn
cramming.
When I moved to France, I wrote 10 new words a day onto an index card. And every day I would take a 3-hour walk and I would get those words down. But if you're learning 40, 50 new words a day and you're doing it in 3 different languages, it's just getting lost in the pile. But my friend Mike is doing it for Yiddish, and they taught him to say, my uncle is a broken man.
Oh.
And who here smells like fish? And my German yesterday taught me to say, I'm sorry, your doctor is playing volleyball today.
Oh, do you remember how to say it?
Yeah, but I'm not going to.
Come on.
No.
We have a lot of German listeners. I would be delighted to hear you say that. I only know a few things in another language, and it happens to be German, and they're equally useless, which is like, how much is the pullover? Your shirt. Wie viel kostet dein Pulli? Right? And then what I know how to say in Spanish is, me gusta montar a caballo rapido.
I like to ride a horse fast.
I took an Italian course in college, and I remembered, what is the name of this harsh north wind?
Oh, that's nice.
And then I was in Italy a couple of years ago, and I was in Turin, and then they were saying it had been very windy. And I said, what is the name of the wind?
Oh my God.
Wow.
Did it blow their minds?
Yeah, it did. Because I thought, I'll never be able to use this,
the
ever.
opportunity.
Yes.
Wow, that's Sim.
Well, I say how much is your pullover to every German I meet. And it's not generally a pulley they're wearing, but I don't know the names of the other kinds of tops.
Well, that must be so nice, though, when somebody comes and says to you in a good accent, just what it is
Yeah.
that they know how to
But
say.
then you don't know what they're responding.
No. And in fact, I
People
also
walk
know how to
away.
ask Germans when their birthday is, von Haus und Deins Geburtstag, and then they answer, and I don't know. I just know the im, which is in. They'll say like im January, and then I get lost with the rest of it.
Sure.
Is it Soft White Underbelly?
Ooh.
Is that the name of the...
Oh, of the interview show you were talking
Yeah.
about?
Oh.
I've never heard of it, and I'd love to watch it. I had the same idea. I wanted to go interview people that you don't hear from.
Mark Lieda, is that right? Soft White Underbelly?
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but I think sex work, I think somebody with 2 years of college became a prostitute and said, no, it's called sex work. But I think prostitute was never, it's not whore. Prostitute
Yeah.
is respectful enough. And these are people who will do anything to get enough money to get their drugs. And they look 30 years older than they are. I mean, you can only watch so many of these videos, and he's very respectful when he talks to them. Again, he makes them look as good as he possibly can. It is just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Bleak.
Yeah.
I got to check that out. In LA specifically, there's so much talk about homelessness. It's nonstop. And you hear different politicians speak on it. You hear advocates talking on it. You hear citizens. I'm like, I never hear a homeless person ask, like, is this tenable? What do you think should happen? And I got really curious. Like, well, I kind of would like to interview 10 or 20 homeless folks and just see what they have to say about it. But now it sounds like this person's already doing that.
I haven't watched every video, but it's not like he talks to somebody who said, my brother's a heroin addict and he came and stayed with us and he took all the money that I was supposed to pay my rent with and I got evicted and so I'm living in my car right now. These are more people who have been hardcore drug
Lifetime
and alcohol
Skid Row.
people. Yeah. But you go to other countries and you don't see it like you do in the United States.
Well, you go to other states as well and you don't
Yeah.
see it. And
But I think part of it here is that it's fairly temperate.
that was kind of the explanation we all had. There's more to it. It's also warm in Texas. It's also warm in Florida. It's warm in Atlanta.
Yep.
It's warm in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And it's not there.
Well,
and it's not very
Hawaii-
warm in Washington, and it's there. And it's not very warm in Oregon, and it's there. And then you can't help but notice there's a correlation between the amount of services offered to the explosion, and that other states send people here. And then you're like, oh, it's much bigger than the climate. But at any rate, I'd love to hear what they have to say about it.
I will say, though, I have noticed a drop in what I've been seeing, and maybe it's because it's been raining.
No, we had a
Yes.
huge policy change like 6 months
I
ago.
think it's the
I
rain.
think it's the rain.
I was in Mumbai recently. This fellow told me how many people lived on the streets there. And I said, what happened during the pandemic? And he said they went back to their villages, which was interesting to me. It's like, why didn't you stay there to begin with?
That happened here. The first 4 months, which were hardcore, literally no one left their house. The streets were completely empty. And all of a sudden, almost all the homeless folks disappeared. And it was so curious to me. I was like, why is this happening? And then my conclusion was they panhandle. They need money to survive. There was nobody around to panhandle from.
Right.
And humans aren't going to sit on a sidewalk and patiently die. They're not going to do that. They went back to their aunt or uncle's house or repaired a relationship. Whatever they did not sit on the sidewalk and die. And I just thought that was a curious outcome, that we could have never run that social experiment, but hard to not notice the results of that.
Well, in New York, too, I wrote something one time about this woman gave me $50. She'd been at church, and the minister gave everybody a $50 bill and said, you need to give it to a person in need by 316, which I guess related to a Bible verse, right? And she was a media escort. I was on a book tour. She picked me up at the airport and she said, I'm not going to be around any poor people for the rest of the afternoon. So could you give this to somebody? And it was a great little assignment. I thought, I don't want to give it to anyone who asks me for it. I don't want to give it to anybody who's drunk. You know, we all have our little things. Anyway, I wrote something about it. And so now people send me money. They send me $50,
Get outta
$100
here.
bills, and I give it away, and then I write them and tell them who I gave it to.
Whoa.
But I always want to give it to somebody who's too sick to ask for it. But then the problem is sometimes you give somebody the money, and then it's like you handed them a drawing of a mushroom. Like they just look at it and you think, do you even know it's a $50 bill?
Yeah.
One time I gave it to this woman and she was sitting on the sidewalk. Her legs were like a doll's legs, you know, like she was sitting on the sidewalk like a doll and staring at her feet. And I gave her a $50 bill and she took it and she threw it into a paper bag that she had and she'd torn up pages of a magazine and newspapers and she just threw it in there. And I wanted to say, give me that $50 back.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
But it's a nice little, and I put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
Into who I'm going to give the money to. But if I was going around giving $50 of my own money away and talking about it, I would sound like a bigger asshole than I sound like for telling you I picked up that dog shit.
Right.
But if it's somebody else's money, you
Yeah,
can talk about it
it's
all
a
day.
job.
Yeah.
You're so right, because as you were telling that story, I was remembering some times I've given strangers money and how that went. And then I thought, I can't really tell that. Sounds very braggy.
Someone gave me $100 bill
Okay.
before Christmas. And so I saw this guy and he was building kind of a nest against the side of a building. It was dusk and it was bitterly cold. And so I went and I said, excuse me, can I give you this $100? And he said, are you Rupert Murdoch?
Oh.
And I said, no. I said, he's 91. And he said, do you know Rupert Murdoch? And I was wearing a cape. Okay, like, no, I don't know Rupert Murdoch. He said, are you a good man?
oh my God.
Which is really the question, right? So I'm sitting there
He's
thinking
interviewing
about
you.
the worst things I've done in my life,
Oh my God.
which seem bad to me, but I bet they're not actually that bad. Do you have an honorable profession?
Wait, you asked this.
No,
he didn't
he's
say.
asking
he's
me.
asking
He's
him.
asking
Well,
me.
I heard, are you a good man?
Yeah, he
he
asked
went
me
on to
that.
then say, do you have an honorable
Yeah, do you
profession?
have an honorable profession?
Like Rupert Murdoch?
I thought, okay, it's honorable enough. And he said, is that your wife you was talking to over there? And I said, no, I don't have a wife. And he said, are you heterosexual? And I said, no. And he said, get the fuck away from me.
No.
Yeah. And I thought, well, I like that he's got
Yes. Conviction.
Standards?
He
yeah,
has principles.
he has
What?
principles. If Adolf Hitler came up and said, here's a $100 bill, I would think, okay, I'll give a half to the
Holocaust Memorial.
a third.
Yeah, if you're building a nest on the street, my guess is you'd take it from anyone.
Yeah, you gotta
Well, you
gotta
should.
admire the fact that he had principles.
I
Even though you
just
don't
don't.
agree with his principles, I like that he didn't sell himself out.
They're the questions, though, aren't they? Are you a good man? Do you have an honorable profession?
And are you heterosexual? These
Yeah,
are the
I mean,
three
that was-
pillars.
Yeah.
You know, we can-
According to
we can
Rupert
dump
Murdoch.
the third one. I had some sincere questions for you. First of all, I wanted to update you. You have the best joke of all time. We were on the walk, and I was telling you about the Cannibal Cookbook, and you said Legs Benedict. It's the best name for an entree. I don't have it, but I just want to hit you with some that I came up
Okay.
with in preparation for you being here. Duck confit,
That's a good one. Yeah.
breast cargo.
It's hard to say, but I get it.
Yeah, breast cargo.
Breast cargo.
Ding, ding, ding. French bunion soup.
There we go.
French bunion soup is the best.
No, Legs Benedict still the high water mark.
French bunions.
This one's a little French bunion soup.
That's a gold. That's
Can you
a
believe you came in and started talking about bunions and I had written
gold
that joke
star
this
one.
morning?
Yeah, that's good.
This one's a stretch. Spaghetti bolognese.
Oh, didn't you use that in Italy or something?
No.
Oh, I thought you did one.
I think I did do one there, but it
Okay.
wasn't spaghetti bolognese.
Spaghetti bolognese, though, it's a really good complex one.
Yeah.
There's bowl,
Yeah.
spaghetti, and knees.
There's multiple pieces.
Yeah. This one's just a snack item. Wheat chins. Not that great, but it's just a cracker offering. If you don't want to get all the way into it, entree. And then the last one is hips and salsa.
Oh, that's good.
I like French bunion soup best.
Okay, I have this fantasy where once a month we hit each other with one, and at some point this becomes a list that's worth exploring.
Well, I had dinner last night with this woman, and she's opening a restaurant, and it's going to be gay. It's like LGBT restaurant, but in a retirement center. I've been trying to think of things that.
Oh, for menu items.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
that's a great assignment. What have you got so far?
Well, I just know you'd need a reservation to eat there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Power bottomless bread basket.
Well, because I thought about a bottomless cup of coffee, and
Yeah. There's something with bottom
well,
for sure.
there are traditional things like spotted dick, which is a British dish, and braised faggots
Oh, wow.
that you could have there.
Sure.
I was thinking about a vegetable curry.
A vegetable curry.
Yeah.
Okay.
LGBTBLT.
Oh,
yeah.
That's great.
I don't know. I just started thinking about it. I wanted to say that they could have on their menu that they use no trans fats.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Oh, God.
That was a joke. Someone told me, I was in Australia recently. Why did the trans man eat a salad? Because he was a herbivore. Isn't that great?
He was
Wait,
a
I don't get it.
herbivore.
Because he was a herbivore.
Oh, a
herbivore.
Before.
Yeah.
That's really good. Okay, I watched you on CBS Sunday Morning in a little thing called David Sedaris on irritating word choice. And so one I'm in agreement with you on, and one I'm going to fight back on. So
Okay.
perfect. Just tell people about perfect. What's happened to perfect?
I just woke up one day and it was a response to everything. I'd like to check in for my room. Perfect. I'll have the Denver omelet. Perfect. And it doesn't bother me. It just became the answer to everything. And I've asked people, why do you say perfect? And they said, well, the boss told us that we need to respond in a way that's positive
Oh.
to everything. I'm trying to remember the situation, but they gave me a list of so-called negative words. But perfect made people feel good, apparently.
I guess it makes me feel good. Yeah. Perfect.
It doesn't bother me the way that awesome bothers me. Like awesome really bothers me. Perfect will in time, but
Because of the literal definition of the word awesome, or just its overuse?
it's overuse, I think. I went to the Great Wall of China once, and you look at it and you see it stretching as far as the eye can see in either direction, and it was awesome.
Right.
And then you realize that word doesn't mean anything now.
Not like when you say, I'll have a latte, awesome. It's just not,
Awesome.
yeah.
Now, the other one is you notice that people call you boss a lot.
Mm-hmm.
First, air your grievance on that, because then I'm going to make my case for why.
I don't like being called boss. I
Right.
feel like it's said in a snide way, like it's got a
Oh,
quotation around it. I can usually tell who's going to call me boss
Okay.
before they call me boss.
What type of could you
And I always
profile
want to say,
for me?
like, if I were your boss, you'd know it because you'd be fired.
Could you describe in broad strokes what kind of it's a dude, obviously. Does he have a certain look? Does he look like me? Be honest.
No, he's younger than you.
Okay. I call people boss a lot.
Really? Who do you call
Yes.
boss?
Almost every male I meet.
Wow.
I find it's a great way to be deferential to somebody.
Really? Oh, that's an interesting way to think about it.
You know
Huh.
where I picked it up from is any Latino worker I've had over the last 20 years, they always call people boss. A lot of Spanish speakers, you hear them call each other jefe a lot, right? And I was like, oh, I kind of dig that. You're kind of betaing yourself to somebody. And I think I'm such a class warfarist at heart. For me, I'm trying to counteract this awkward status thing that I'm uncomfortable with.
Whenever people call me boss, it's like they're taking my order for coffee. Top you off, boss, in the restaurant.
I don't like being called boss, but I really like calling other men boss. And I find it goes well.
Huh. Because I talked to a woman and her boyfriend's a waiter, and his tips go up when he calls people boss. And I
Really?
said, really? Because I hate being called boss.
Some people are more comfortable feeling their high status, enjoying their high status.
But I feel like boss, I don't know, it just came around one day, the same way perfect did. It's like, wow, where'd that come from? It was after the pandemic. that I noticed boss. Maybe it was a big thing out here and then it spread because welcome in started here on the West Coast. And then
Welcome
it just
in?
spread. Welcome in.
What's that?
What's that mean?
Oh my God. You go into any store, welcome in.
Oh,
And I say, you go to a hotel, welcome in. And I always
But
say,
aren't they just welcoming you in?
you don't need the in part.
Oh.
You can just say welcome.
okay. So it's
Welcome
redundant for you.
Yeah, and it's everywhere now.
Ah.
And if you say welcome in, you're dead to me.
Okay, that's
Like-
the end of the relationship.
Wow.
Well,
Do you like when you stay at a Four Seasons and they say welcome home?
I can ignore that, but I checked into a hotel yesterday and the guy said, how are your travels? You're dead to me. If you say to me, how are your travels?
Oh, that's a big
dead
red
to me.
flag. What-
Well, because, and I've said to people before, I've said, I stay in a lot of hotels. And every day I'm asked that question. I said, you got to come up with something better. If I worked in a store and you came in, I would say, do you know anybody with bunions?
Okay.
I would act like I had this problem or I was doing a crossword puzzle and I just needed a little help with it. Because people want to help other people.
You're
and
right.
So you as a customer would say, my mother had bunions. And I would say, did she ever think about getting them removed? And then you're having a little relationship with someone where if you say, welcome in, how are your travels? You're not going to.
Well, you're speaking on something that's, I think, really important in communication, which is the first thing's too broad. How are your travels? Fuck, I don't know. The cab ride to the airport, is that what you're looking for? Or the line at the ticket counter or the lounge or whatever. It's too big. Specific is everything. Do you have bunions? You know right away whether you do or you don't. I think it just feels taxing and laborious to be asked that broad of a question. Sometimes I listen to other interviewers and I listen to what they say and it's like, boy, you have this #1 movie. How's that feel? It's like, Jesus Christ, what part of it? What first came out when my uncle was resentful towards me? That's just too big.
Well, that's like, how are you?
Yeah, no thank you.
When I sign somebody's book every now and then, somebody will, how are you? And I think, well, I'm going to keep them here until they're a real person to me. You can open somebody up with the right questions. In New York, if you go into like a CVS or something, you can always start something by saying, what do you call that nail color? Or do you always get your nails like flat on the end like that? Their disposition completely changes.
Well, because
it's never
it
not
seems like
worked.
you actually care for a real answer. Whereas, how are your travels? You don't really care to know.
It's so generic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically fuck you. Here's the words.
It is.
It is. It's like, fuck you. I got to do this and you got to listen to it.
Yeah.
Let's get on with it. Can I pit you with my pet peeves?
Please.
Essentially. I hope now that I've said it to you, and maybe you've already noticed its overuse, but I want you to listen for it. Essentially, it has replaced literally, or is in the process of replacing literally. Remember, literally just sprang up 10 years ago?
In England, everyone says literally all the time. I was literally eating my breakfast when you called. And it's like, that's not the way you'd use
Yeah.
literally.
It's not hard to believe. Or they'll say, like, my head literally exploded. Like, well,
Right.
Yeah. Well, metaphorically exploded. But I feel like essentially is vying for literally's place. And I also find that if you track people's use of the word essentially, it's pretty much when they're running out of actual details about something or their knowledge is running out. I mean, it's essentially 10 miles away. It's like, they don't know. Maybe it's 5 or 15 or something. And then you throw essentially in there and then take a stab at it. So that's one I just want you to earmark. And then this is a prediction. I doubt you're already at volume with it, but atelier. Like right now you're thinking, what? How could you have a problem with atelier, right? Do you know that word atelier?
Atelier, yeah.
Oh, you say it differently. Say it again.
Atelier. It's
Okay.
like a workshop
Yeah,
in
it's
French.
a shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For high-end goods, generally. That's what it's used for now to describe these like clothing
designers have
houses
ateliers.
where handbags are made in an atelier. I'm just putting it on your radar because I'm pretty certain it's going to take over artisanal. Because remember about 6 years ago, all of a sudden Subway had artisanal subs. And you're like, this now means nothing,
Right.
this word artisanal. So my prediction is come into your local Subway atelier and get an artisanal 6-inch BMT.
My best friend, Ronnie, she managed a shoe store for almost 40 years in San Francisco. And she's more up on that than anyone. She would say, we have a list of words we would ban. And we send it back and forth. She was the first one to catch welcome in.
Oh, wow.
She was always the first to jump on every kind of word trend that there
Wow.
was. And that was in San Francisco. And I would think, that's ridiculous. But next thing you knew, it was like spread right across the country.
It made its way.
What is she saying now is banned?
Well, you know what? She just retired.
You lost your source.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
But literally, you can't believe how often you hear that in England.
Right. How much time are you spending there now?
As much as I can.
What's the primary place you guys try to be?
It was usually England, but then just before the pandemic, we got a place in New York, and it was so hard to go to England for a lot of that. So we spent most of the pandemic in New York.
Okay, but now you're trying to be in England when you're not on tour?
Yeah, I was there in January
Where did you do Christmas?
in New York, and then we left 3 days after. And then I went around the world. I went to England, and then I went to India, and then I went to Japan, and then I
Speaking.
went to Australia, and then I went to Hawaii, and then back to New York.
All on speaking
No,
engagements?
I have a radio show in England, so I had to record a new series. And then we were going to go to Japan, but it hadn't opened up yet at the time we made our plans. So we thought we'd never been to India. So we went to India. Then Japan opened. So then we went there for a few days. And Australia was work, and Hawaii was work.
Okay, but India and Japan were just for fun.
Yeah.
And what will you guys do on vacation? Stroll around and go to shops and
Well,
stuff?
the thing of India, you had to get a visa in order to go, and you apply online. And so I can't do a thing like that. Hugh did it. And then my visa came the night before we left, and Hugh's didn't come. So they would not let him on the plane.
Oh, no.
So I went to India by myself.
Oh, my God.
And it was
You know you guys
not
have been
what I
together a
had.
long time when that decision's made.
Wow.
I know it. I had to say, well, I got to go.
These tickets are...
He
we're
came
gonna-
the next day. But I was glad Hugh came because what I would do is just walk. But Hugh always wants to take public transportation. He signed us up for a slum tour. And I said, I am really not doing that on my own. I mean, it sounded,
Depressing.
well, plus a tour.
I know.
You know, what do you wear for your slum tour?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
But
yeah.
a slum is any building built on government land. So it's a technical term. And the government could clear that land at any second. So the buildings are tenuous at best that are built on it. But this biggest slum in India generates $1 billion a year. Like everyone was working. Every man, children, old people, you know, all the people in America who's like, I have an app on my phone and I can get that for 20 cents cheaper on the other side of town. You can get it for 20 cents cheap. So someone in a room with no windows, do you know what I mean, can earn pennies a day.
It's really corrupt. There's slumlords. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, and payments need to be made. And someone explained to me too, if you're a beggar, then you pay like a beg pimp.
Maybe someone has an area or a territory,
Yeah.
and you're only allowed to beg in that territory and then kick it up. Okay, Happy Go Lucky's coming out on paperback at the end of May, and I reread some stories today, and I reread Highfalutin, and I wanted to talk about this phenomena of wanting to do things for Amy, your sister. I'm wondering if you have an explanation for this, because I have a best friend I've had since I was 11, and I just live to wait on him hand and foot. And it's the most curious relationship. Monica's observed it a bunch of times. I can't really pinpoint what's going on, but just like if I hear he wants something or desires something, I can't wait to hopefully get that for him or help him. And when he got this new girlfriend who's now his wife, the three of us went up to the Bay Area because I had to work. And we stopped at a gas station and we came out and we had both bought Aaron all the things he needed. I know he likes on a road trip. And I said to her, oh shit, we're going to have to figure out which one of us is taking care of the baby prince. Like, we got to figure out who's getting what. And I'm just wondering, do you know what it is about Amy?
It's not manipulation on her part.
Right,
I
you're
don't
clear
know.
about that in the story. It's
Yeah.
like she's not manipulating anyone. She's not asking anyone to get anything for her. But if she happens to vocalize that she desires something, you really want to make that happen.
And part of it is that she's so fun to be around. It just doesn't seem fair that she doesn't have what she wants. You know, so you just want to write that and go out and get her whatever it is that she desires. And everybody feels that way.
Do they?
toward her. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, if it was just you or if she just gives that off.
Everyone that Aaron knows treats him that way.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I value so much my time with him. He's so sweet and I enjoy him so much. I feel like I need to reciprocate. I'm not as fun as him to be around or as lovely. And I just feel like, well, the least I can do is make his lunch for him or something.
Maybe it's like that with Amy, too. When Amy's around, you just laugh until your sides ache. And it's effortless. You're never like, oh, she's telling that story again.
Right.
Ever. She's just right there in the moment. I've known her all my life, and I just marvel at the way that her mind works. I don't feel like it's ever been appropriately captured, like on a television show or in a movie. It's somebody putting words in her mouth, but just her. And I've put the words in her mouth, when we did plays together. But then she would just go off in the play, and you've never laughed so hard in your life. The problem was that other people would try to do it too, and it's like, no, only she can really do it.
Yes. Yeah, you say in Highfalutin that she's the only person you've ever met that truly is in the moment, just as a natural state of being. As you're kind of remembering, you guys wrote 7 plays together, and she performed them, and you would go to the shows. Yeah, and you're talking about how she rarely said what had been planned out or scripted, and that there was another director there that had worked with her and said, what do you call it when Amy says one of the words you've written?
What do you call it when Amy Sedaris recites one of your lines? A coincidence.
It's so funny. What's clear to me is that, and this was in the 90s when you were doing these plays with her, it feels like that might be, is that the height of fun for you in your lifetime? Was that maybe?
I think if I were on my deathbed, the happiest moments of my life were backstage, because everyone in our plays was funny. David Rakoff was in our plays. Jackie Hoffman is terribly, terribly funny. And just listening to them in the dressing room, it was much better than the play.
Yeah.
You just felt like you were at the center of the world. And again, none of us were anybody, when it was like a little theater off Broadway. It was a real let's put on a show feeling.
Yeah, so the sweet spot for me is being at the Groundlings when I had no illusion of it leading to anything. There was no financial component. In fact, it cost me money to be performing there. I don't have another word other than there was like a purity to it that was pretty transcendent. And it saddens me. I feel like it kind of only can happen in this little window of your life in your late 20s or something. There's something that's so precious about that. And I get nostalgic for it. And just when I was reading this, I just had this hunch that that was the zone for you as well.
Well, there was also a moment before people broke. You know what I mean? And you were doing just what you always wanted to do, and you were starting to get attention for it. Isn't in your 20s you have more friends than you'll ever have?
Probably.
20s
Yeah, because everyone's available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everyone's got time to hang out and go to a
and
movie. And
energy.
yes, endless energy.
And Amy was at Second City, and she was at Second City at a time when it was just a golden moment. And you'd go over to Amy's house, you'd go over at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was full of people from Second City will come over, and, Amy would make dinner, and yeah, it was just a beautiful time.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
You also say in that story that you don't in general miss using, but that you really miss getting high with Amy.
When I quit, I thought, really? Do I have to quit with Amy too?
Right. That's like the pure version of it, right? It's like it's social, it's not isolated, it's family.
But that wasn't a big part what made me quit, because when we would work on these plays, I'd go over to her house, and she lived like 5 blocks from me. I would get lost. That's how high I would be.
Yeah.
And I would be so drunk that to walk 5 blocks without having to pee was a challenge. You know,
Right,
5
right.
blocks. And I was young then. But there were a couple times when I was just sloppy drunk and banging into something or stumbling, and I saw Amy pretend not to notice. And she's the kind of person who would make so much fun of you for a thing like that. And the fact that she wasn't making fun of me,
And she pitied you.
I thought she pities me.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that was much harder than
Being yelled at or
Yeah,
embarrassed. Yes, being pitied
Yeah.
is so powerful. Yeah, and you say like she's the type of person that she could have drugs in her house for 6 months and forget they were there or maybe
Yeah.
do them. And then she doesn't finish drinks.
Yeah.
Isn't that fucking peculiar that you guys are blood relatives and yet she could have that relationship with it and then you could have yours?
But she's really kind of the only person in my family who could be like that.
I mean, she might be from a different planet. There's a lot of evidence that she is.
She looks just like my grandmother.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Maybe grandma was from another
But if
galaxy.
she didn't,
Curious.
then it would be a possibility.
Do you have guilt around her? Is that part of the gift giving? Like she doesn't get the credit she deserves, but you do. I mean, she's super successful and everyone loves
Yeah.
her, but like you said, she's never got to show the true level of brilliance that you get to see.
No, but I don't know how you would do it. I mean, maybe if you made a documentary and you followed her around all the time.
Yeah.
What she suffers from is the phenomena when they tried to put improv on television.
Mm-hmm.
It's missing the stakes. Once it's gotten to your television, somehow it already was safe and it worked out. That's why they aired it. So you don't have that sense of failure that's imminent, that someone's avoiding, the running from the lion. And so, yeah, what she's doing, you need to experience in real time, in real life. And when she's yelling at you in a store and causing a scene and being theatrical and all these ridiculous things she does as she moves through the world, it's real life. There's stakes, and then it's just infinitely funnier. But when you put that on any kind of medium, it's gone.
Right. There's a crackling to it. And you're right. If it succeeds, then you put it on TV, then you put it in a movie, then you put it, but the crackle is gone.
Yeah, you'd almost need to sell tickets to follow her through life at a safe distance. That would be the performance you'd want. And she should charge like $9,000 a ticket and you follow her through New York for a day.
You know, like sometimes you go to something and somebody's can be very funny. They're like a high beam flashlight in your face. And after a while, you're like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
She's never like that. Never, ever, ever are you like, when will she shut up? Okay, does it have to be all about you? Ever. I think that she is the perfect person. I didn't think it when she was a kid, but I thought it for a long time.
Do you ruminate on the fact that you don't spend enough time with her, and why don't you?
No,
You
no.
feel like
I mean,
you
we
see her
see
the
each other a
perfect
lot
amount.
in New York, and then I was really sorry she had to work, so she couldn't come with us to India and Japan.
So she'll travel with you guys.
Oh yeah,
That story's so beautiful. It's such a tribute to her. It makes me like her so much. I've never met her. I just know what she is professionally. Will she read that story? And if she reads that, how does she feel? And does she share that with you?
I gave it to her to read because I didn't want anything in there that she was embarrassed by, and she was very moved by it.
That's what I would hope, is that she could feel how much you adore her.
Yeah, but I feel like even that story didn't capture that crackle.
Well, you got to be with her.
Yeah.
There'd have to be some virtual reality portion of this thing. I would put your goggles on now, and I'm going to explain what it's like to be at Barney's with her. But you need to be with us at Barney's.
But the funny things that she does in that essay, 2 weeks later, she did things just as funny or even funnier. And I'm like, God damn it, why did I publish that
Yeah.
Too soon.
essay already? Yeah.
Okay. What are you reading?
Donald Goings. Do you know Donald Goines? Goings? Did you ever read anything by Iceberg Slim?
No.
Iceberg Slim was a pimp, and he wrote a book called Pimp, Story of My Life.
Yes.
And then he wrote Mama Black Widow. He learned to write in prison. And Donald Goings, gosh, do I have his name right?
Rob's saying yes. You're nailing it.
He learned to write by reading Iceberg Slim.
Oh, wow.
My first book I read by him was called Whore Son. And so it's this prostitute who has a baby and she names him Whore Son. And then I read Black Girl Lost. And then I just read Dope Fiend. And he's so good with the story. The books are just really riveting. He was murdered.
Oh, this is all posthumously.
Yeah, he was murdered. They never caught his killer, but he spent time in prison and he really knew what he was writing about.
I want to read one.
Yeah, me too.
I guess this kind of maybe answers my next question, which is, What inspires you to write? Is there anything that you consume where you all of a sudden have an actual itch to sit down and write?
I mean, I'm always writing. Like, I remember years ago, I love Lori Moore, and I read a short story by hers, and then like I was in a trance, and then I went, and I remember writing an essay from beginning to end, which rarely happens. The essay that I read by her, which was in her book, Birds of America, just made me think, oh, right, this is possible. It's possible to completely change somebody's mood by writing. It's possible to write something that makes people laugh and then makes them feel something at the same time. I live for that. Somebody just reminding you that what's been under your nose all this while is possible. It renews your faith in writing or whatever it is that you do.
Yeah. Okay, you're going on tour. You've got another tour ahead of you.
I cannot tell you. Okay, I go on tour. Like 60 Minutes did a profile of me
I
last
watched it.
year.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but I know that
Should
they
we
did
watch
it.
it together after this interview?
No, I could never in a million years watch something good. But I have more people come up to me at events and say, I know you from Armchair Expert. They never read any of my books. No one has come up and said, I had no idea I saw you on 60 Minutes. No one says, I had no idea I heard you on CBS Sunday Morning. Like, you have a huge audience. And I got to say, I really like your audience, too.
we have the I know this sounds pandering. This group of people that know us from this show are across the board the nicest fucking people I've ever met. I don't even understand it. I'm like, you're smart, they're kind, then I feel fraudulent. Like, why would you like me? We're talking about naughty stuff all the time. So they're kind of irreverent on top of it. I adore the people that listen to the show. It's like the greatest part of this whole job. I'm glad to hear that.
Would that be weird, though, if you didn't like your audience?
Well, it would reflect you.
Listen, I think that happens.
Yeah.
I hate to guess on his behalf, but like Howard Stern, who I adore and is a really special human being and very self-actualized, there is a sector of his audience that's not in on the joke. I've heard on the show, his producer, Gary Delabonte, will be at a gas station. Someone will just scream like the most horrific thing that's been on the show, or they want to just use the N-word. But yeah, I think it's quite possible to be attracting people that you yourself wouldn't necessarily want to be around.
When I was young, I got a job selling popcorn, peanuts, and ice cold drinks at a concert venue called the Dorton Arena in North Carolina. Maybe it's out like 4,000 or 5,000 people. And they had concerts, and the circus was there every year. But they used to have wrestling matches, right? And I always thought, who believes that that stuff is true? Well, people from the state psychiatric hospital would go there, and they were delighted. I always thought, like, I want that audience.
Well, there's a snobbery about content, right? There's no hierarchy of who's being entertained. It's like there's humans on planet Earth. They all deserve to laugh and have fun. That's that. But I've seen your live show. It's fantastic. I really encourage people to go watch you. It sounds like they already are encouraged and they're showing up. But even more so, I just want to give a testimonial. It's so fun. But your audience is very specific. It's what I imagine the audience looks like at Wait, Don't Tell Me. It seems very NPR kind of educated.
Well, I think that's what they have in common is they all went to college.
They're literate. They read books. That's some segment already. But then your irreverent tone.
But I like, because I have a radio show in England, then I can go on tour and I can go to smaller towns and still fill a theater and stuff. And that's interesting, starting over in another country and then learning who your audience is.
I bet.
Is it different there?
Yeah.
I have a stereotype about England. It's probably
There are people who
probably
wear
wrong.
socks with sandals come to my shows in England.
In England?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What a great descriptor. Okay. Huh. I think it's the accent that misleads me, but my general assessment of England as a whole is they're just one standard deviation more literate than us. That's what I think about them, right or wrong. I have no data to support that, but I mean, it might be the accent.
It's always interesting to me that every country thinks that their equivalent of white trash is trashier than every other country's. No.
Ours is the best, right?
No,
No.
ours is not the best.
It's not?
No, you can't hold a candle to British.
Come
and
on.
Australians, they have the word bogan, and that's their word for like white trash. Yeah.
Ah.
And so bogans are pretty up there, too.
They're wild.
Bogan is such a good word. French trash? Oh, my goodness. French trash is
Gutter
trashy
trash.
Yeah, gutter trash.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I would put money on my town, the pocket of white trash. I just don't know what else humans could do to get more vile. Truly. The level of alcoholism and incest and all the things that were happening and animal abuse and fucking pyromania. Like, well, how could humans behave worse than when I grew up around?
But that would be a good, because I was on the plane yesterday and I saw this television show and it was called America's Ugliest Home or something like that.
Oh, that's
right?
a fun concept.
But that would be a good one to go around the world and try to figure out whose trash
Trashiest
is the
trash.
trashiest
Yeah.
trash.
Yes.
Well, I think Love Island is also doing that currently. They're finding the trashiest people.
Yeah, like the Great American Trash Off or the Great World Trash Off. Let's pitch this. You and I will go with the little microphones like we're on a
Go around the
60s
world.
sports show on NBC with some jackets and some long microphones. And we'll say, like, what'd you get up to today? You know, it's 10 a.m. Have you assaulted anyone? Have
It'd be
you
called Trash Talk.
trash talk? Yeah.
It was especially shocking in France because everyone thinks, oh, the French are so sophisticated and
Yeah.
the French are.
Yeah.
Sexy.
No, you go out into the country in Normandy.
What are they doing?
Yeah. Look, they're having sex with animals.
You know, like 8 cars parked in the yard.
He was
and-
shaking
Yeah.
his head up and down. Yes, there's a lot of bestiality happening.
Wow.
Jeez Louise. But you know what's funny is having been on the inside of that where I was a dirt road kid and all my friends were white trash, I think it would surprise upper class people how we felt about it, which was we know you were grossed out and we fucking loved it. That's the pride we're getting. It's like, oh yeah, we're gross. You think we're less than you and we're going to ramp that up to fuck with you because that's our only leverage. The level of shame one might guess doesn't. There's a pride in that. Barbary?
Barbary?
Barbary. Oh. That
Is
sounds
it
really
Barbary?
great.
Sounds brand new.
Barbary.
I don't know.
The Great Barbary. It sounds like robbery and barbershop. I
Huh.
think it is
Fair.
Barbary.
Barbarism?
Barbarianism?
Look it up.
I saw a sign in England once that said haircuts for men are Barbary.
The interesting thing about your speaking tours, I looked at all the dates today. You're going to 52 places.
I'm leaving like in a week and I go to 42 cities or something like that, I think.
Okay, then
And
maybe
then
you
there'll
have
be
a
another 20
break.
cities on a book tour.
At any rate, I went to the page, and what struck me is the places you go. The places you're going are New Bedford, Patchogue, New Brunswick, Alpena, Michigan.
Yeah.
That's my backyard. Glen Ellen, Durango. I'm envious of this. Do you like that aspect that your tour wanders off the beaten path so much?
I remember when I was young and then you would see comedians on Johnny Carson or something and they'd say, like, I'm going to be playing Alpena, Michigan, or I'm going to be in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And you'd think, man, what a loser. And then when you get older, you realize, oh, if they can fill a house in that place.
Yes.
Because it doesn't seem that hard to fill a house in Chicago or San Francisco
Right,
or
yeah.
LA or New
Exactly.
York. But the only thing about this kind of a tour that I'm getting ready to go on, like I'm going to Dallas and I'll be in LA and
San
shows in
Diego,
New York
yeah,
and
yeah.
San Diego.
Within that challenge and that hurdle or that discomfort, is there something cool that comes out of that?
Yeah, and I don't know what it's going to be yet.
This isn't the first time you're going to these
No,
smaller
no, no.
areas.
But sometimes like a theme will develop. I was in Australia last month and I heard the term sex pest, which we don't use here. A sex pest is like a man who catcalls women, a guy who hugs you just so he can kind of grab you.
Sure.
You know, everyone knows what a sex pest is.
Sure.
And I don't know why they don't use that term in the United States. But then I started talking about sex pest on stage, and then people were giving me sex pest stories. So sometimes a theme can develop on a
Yeah.
tour, and you don't know what it's going to be, and it has to be organic.
Right. It's got to present
fun.
itself
Yeah.
to you, right?
Yeah, but you got to be open.
Yeah.
You have to be attuned for it to present itself. So there's always that excitement before.
I imagine you keep up your walking schedule while you're in these smaller towns.
Yeah. See, that's hard because if you're taking 2 planes and you're in a car,
Yeah.
then you're thinking, okay, I got to get up at 5 so I can get some of these steps in. You know, sometimes they have you going to the airport, getting there 2 hours
Yep.
early in a tiny town. And the airport's too small to walk in. Then it's raining and you're walking outside the airport with all your carry-ons and
Yeah.
you're walking through the parking deck, and then someone reports you because there's a suspicious person walking, and it's like
There's a
I
sex pest
have a ticket.
prowling.
Yeah, I just mentally ill.
Kind of guy you wouldn't even take $100 from.
And now you have
So
to
vile.
fit your Duolingo in this day
Exactly.
too.
Oh my God.
Exactly. It's such a pleasure to travel within Australia. Airport security is American airport security, 1975. I was in the airport, and this woman came up and said, "Oh, good, you're here." She said, "Will you sign these pictures?" She said, "I was at your show last night." I said, "Where are you flying to?" And she said, "Nowhere. I just thought you might be at the airport."
Oh,
and
wow.
so you can go through security. You don't need a ticket.
Oh,
You
boy.
can, if you want to walk someone to the gate, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Huh.
You
No
almost
one yells at
forget
you.
That's what we used to do.
We landed in Sydney and there wasn't a gate for us, right? And so we were just on the tarmac there, and I had to pee so bad. And I saw the woman across the aisle get up and use the bathroom. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to too. And in America, they would yell at you so hard.
Uh-huh.
And then the flight attendants were strapped in right up there, and they said, "Oh, I know how it is. When you got to go, you got to go." And then we started taxiing, and they said, "Just hold on to something so you don't fall over."
Yeah, it's that easy.
Yes. When you go around the world, you start realizing how impacted our life is by how litigious we are
Yes,
as a country.
suing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you go around New Zealand, the things they'll let you do, like there's this zorbing thing, they'll put you in a ball and throw you off a mountain. They don't give a fuck if you get paralyzed because you're not going to sue. And then that's where bungee jumping's huge. They'll let you jump in a box of glass. Like, well, yeah, if you want to do it. It's so fun. People talk differently to each other and they move through the world differently.
I was in Bosnia. There were just animals kind of roaming around the hotel. And anyway, they had these bridges that were like a half of a circle, right? That would go over a man-made canal. And it was covered with moss. And so you just fell, you know, like
Sure.
and at night, it's not lit at all, the path back to your room. And I thought, these are people who don't sue. That's who these people are.
That's right. That's right. Okay, well, I want people, I'm going to say specifically people that live here in Los Angeles, mobilizing all armchairs. Please go see David on April 29th and the 30th. Go to both shows at the theater at Ace Hotel, which is a really fun venue. We've performed there before.
Yes.
I've never been there
It's
before.
nice.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's got a wonderful vibe. So I want people to get tickets for that. Where do people get tickets?
That's so nice of you to do that. I have no idea how people get tickets.
Yeah. Well,
But I
Google.
get
if you want tickets, you'll find out.
I just got a letter from some guy, and he said, "I get all your books from the library, and I just saw you're coming to my town. I can't believe how much the tickets cost." And I wrote back, "Excuse me for trying to make a living." That's one thing I'm super strict about. When people are like, "Can I have your code for your HBO, for your Netflix?" It's like, no. How do you expect them to make shows and movies if you're going to
Yeah, the operating
watch it all
budget
for
at
free?
Netflix is like $3 billion a year to create the content. They got to fucking get that
Yeah.
back for you to watch you.
When you think about it, what you pay a month is less than you'd pay for a single movie.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's a really good
well, we have these
value.
brackets. It's like we want everything for free. And then also we'll pay $25 to get a sandwich that's 1 block away delivered to our house. And we're like, yeah, of
Right.
course. That's
Well, if
of
it's-
course I would have to leave my house. I know that's worth $25 for me. No, we have all these compartments that don't really make any sense relative to one another. I have one last serious question, and I've had you for a long time, but I have one serious question. I know you don't like serious questions, but here we go. As an addict, I think one part of sobriety that's been confusing to me. Do you find it's hard to commemorate an event or an achievement or punctuate your life without it?
It was at the start, but it's not now. That's one thing I've been curious about because everybody talks about Ozempic, that weight loss
Right.
drug.
This is one of my questions
And-
on here for you. And I was like, we don't have time. But yes, I wanted to know what
Let's-
you thought
yeah,
about
I
let's
Ozempic.
hear
feel like I do struggle with my weight. I eat like it's a competition. Maybe because I came from a big family, but I need to eat as much food as I can so I can get the seconds first.
Right.
And then I'll eat the food off of your plate. So I have to exercise like a maniac in order to stay the size that I am. Right?
And eat the way you're wired
So
to eat now.
here's this drug that I could take, but food is all I have left.
Mhm.
So I could treat myself with like a piece of cake he makes the best ice cream in the world.
He's so fucking
I
good
don't
looking. Can I just
wanna-
add?
Yeah,
I never
I
met
agree.
you, and he's so good looking. It's crazy. Like when I asked you if you had trouble with monogamy, and you're like, no, I've never really. But looking at him, like, fuck, what a 10. Yeah. Yes. I'd be horny for him still
And what's
too.
nice, though, is that he doesn't believe that. And there's nothing you could say that would ever make him believe it.
It's great. That's what you
That's the
want.
best.
Yeah.
You want a hottie that doesn't know they're a hottie.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
blushing.
Yeah, he's so good looking. It's crazy. His fucking hair is impossibly thick and stylish.
I know, but he's the kind of guy who will be like, I wish my hair wasn't
Wasn't so thick.
so thick. And it's like, you're not getting any
I wish I had more
sympathy.
colics.
Yeah. When you part his hair, there's just more hair.
Yeah.
But there's not
You're
a,
just discovering more
Yeah.
hair as you try to get rid of it.
but it's all on his head.
Yeah,
right.
that's
That doesn't
nice.
surprise me at
I
all.
have more hair on my knuckles than he has on the rest of his body.
Yeah, he's kind of a phenom.
Okay, he makes the best ice
Sorry.
cream.
So there's a solution.
Yes.
Right? But if you cut food out of my life, then I wouldn't have anything to look forward to.
That makes total sense to me. And in fact, it was not an issue for me. This notion of like, I worked really hard at this thing happened. Now I want to celebrate it. What do I do? It used to be food for me as well. But my arthritis, there's so few things I can eat. And if I violate that, I'm in pain for 3 days or my skin peels off. So that celebratory option doesn't exist for me anymore. And so really, I'm just like, what do you do?
Do you like things?
I like cars. That's about all I like. So I'd have to buy a whole other car and it'd be an issue in my house. And there's no space for it. But yeah, I don't really like anything else.
It's too bad you can't like jewelry,
Yeah.
you know, because that would really be the perfect. Doesn't
tell
take up
me
a lot
about
of
it.
room. And you go buy yourself a ring or a Super Bowl, like if you collected Super Bowl rings.
Yeah. And it would have an intrinsic value a little bit too. You could unload it at some point. It wouldn't be a total frivolous waste of money.
What are your favorite stores? I didn't know you were such a shopper.
Oh, he lives to shop.
Can we do like top
Yeah.
5 favorite stores? Because I'm a huge shopper.
Well, because I have this tour coming up,
Yeah.
right? So I always believed, from the very first, I started reading out loud when I lived in Chicago. And so I would always dress up. It just meant wearing a tie back then. But I would see other people get up there and, you know, they just looked like they'd been mowing their lawn. And it's like, oh, right, I have that reading. But then my ideas of dressing up changed, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I just bought a sport coat that's got a semi-rigid band that goes around the waist. So it's a hoop around the waist. So it makes you look like it's a clown suit.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
it's like
Or like you're in
puffed
Wizard
out.
of Oz is one of
Yeah,
the...
yeah, Wizard of Oz kind of. And then I got a pair of culottes, which are bell-bottom shorts,
Of course.
that have that in the knee.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So you do look
That's
like
fun.
an Oompa Loompa or some
Yeah.
kind of creature from a fairy tale.
I also got a pair of felt shorts that are so thick, if I take them off, they stand in the floor on their own. And they're pleated in such a way that makes me look like I just have an impossibly huge ass. Like just impossibly huge. And they're
I'd love
baby
that.
blue.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then there was a couple other things I was looking at. And so I brought Amy. I said, meet me at the Comme des Garçons store because I need you to be the voice of reason. And she said, look, if you're out of control, then you might as well be all the way out of control. And so then I bought like 3 more jackets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good shopping partner.
when-
Just do it.
He said when Amy visits England, he has like a schedule laid out of what stores they're going to hit
That's
with
what I'm
built-in
asking.
trips back to the apartment to drop all the shit that he knows they'll be at capacity
Yes.
before they hit this 4th store, and it's all completely planned out.
This is what I do too. You need to send me
You
your
should go
list.
shopping
I would
and
love it.
But a
Light some
lot of
money
it
on
is
fire.
like Christmas and birthday. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I'm not keeping it all from myself.
That's fine.
But
I don't care if you do. I want you to.
But Monica's also a great gift giver, so you
Yeah.
guys could definitely link up before the holidays.
do you go to England very often?
I'm going in June.
Did you ever go to Egg there?
No.
Oh my goodness. Sometimes I'll see a woman on the street and I'll say, you need to go to Egg. I just say, I know you'll like it.
Oh.
And it's a clothing store in Knightsbridge. Everything is super simple, really. Everything
Yep.
has pockets. Everything's super simple. But it's the fabrics that they make the things out of that
Okay.
are so... And my sisters love Egg.
Egg.
You know, so
I'm
I go
going
to
there.
Egg and I can always find stuff
Okay.
from my sisters.
Adding that to the list.
And then there's a place there called the Gallery of Everything.
Ooh.
And it's folk art from around the world. But what I like about it is that you'll go there and there'll be something that's, super expensive. And then there's some hand puppet that a crazy person made 100 years ago, and it's $30.
Yeah.
So it's a real
Grab bag. of
Hodgepodge.
Mixed Messies.
Oh, great.
But we were in Tokyo, and that's where, just really go wild there.
Yeah, I want to go.
How do you buy more luggage while you're there? Or do you come with a trunk or
I
something?
come with extra luggage. Sometimes I buy luggage
Okay.
there.
One more thing to buy, which is nice.
Yeah, it's a fun task.
But they see us coming, man. They get so excited. So excited. I mean, there's a store there where everything looks like a mushroom. And I've never seen another customer in there. And so, of course, they remember us. And it's easy to think we're the only customers.
Do they say welcome
They've
home
ever
like you're at the
had.
Four Seasons? I'm so on the outside of this. I can see you guys both burbling with titillation.
shopping.
Yeah. I
Did you
wish
ever
I
go
could-
to Tortoise here?
No, where's Tortoise?
Is it in Santa Monica?
Oh, that's because it's on the west side.
They sell a lot of Japanese things.
Oh, is it in Venice? Okay, I have been. Yes.
I think they moved. They used to be in Venice and
Okay.
they moved, I think.
to Japan.
No, they're
Be
still
closer
here.
to the
I
merchandise.
do remember in Venice a store that sold really beautiful Japanese things. That was before I could afford it, so I got to go back.
I would love to see you guys go shopping.
I would love it too.
I'm going to give you each $100 to hand out to someone else at a register. I'll play a part of this. I want in on this, giving you $100 to redistribute.
Yeah.
Redistribute?
Yeah.
Barbary? Barbary?
Men's haircuts. Giving men's haircuts is Barbary.
I love you. It's always so nice to see you. I've got to get your address correct before you leave because you're going to be the one human being in the world I send postcards to. And I bought this whole stack of different birds. I never wrapped that up. You're so good at it. I spent way too much time on Etsy trying to find something clever or worthy of your attention. And I finally said, this isn't me. I like crows. Let me get a stack of crow postcards. And that's what I'm going to send him. I'm going to not try to clever up the card itself.
No, I like this card.
Okay, great. So I'm going to jot down your address all over again, and then I'm going to keep writing to
But you know what? You did this backwards because it says postcard. This is where you write your stuff. Right?
No.
Yeah, this is where you write blah, blah, blah. And this is where you put the address.
No. Isn't there
Yeah,
lines on
nope.
that? On the front?
Here's where they canceled the stamp right here. This should be the
To and
my
from?
address right here. And then right here is where you write you did it backwards.
Well, and I wanted you to judge it as if it were my 10,000th, and you've done so. You're totally disappointed with the placement of the writing. And
No, I just noticed. I
got it completely wrong. Not shocked. It was my first go. Well, I'll figure out how to use the postcard, and then I'll keep them coming, and I'll look forward to yours. And I hope everybody goes and sees you out on the road because it's so fun.
I think you're officially our most. We've had David
Number
on.
4.
Yeah, we've never had someone on as many times as
Really?
you.
Gosh, that's so
Her before.
nice of you.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime. We said it and we stick to it.
Yeah, we adore you. We would see you next week. If
But
you
I'm
wanted.
pretty
Yeah.
sure this was a completely different conversation than we've ever had.
Oh,
They've all been
That's kind of
different.
the goal.
Bernie Sanders was on Bill Maher a few weeks ago. And I bet if you played his last 3 appearances, there was not a word out of place. I bet he said the exact same thing,
Yeah.
the exact same tone of voice. And I thought, that's always the fear, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, and we have learned over time there are certain people, it's just best not to interview them because you're just going to get the exact same one that you watched in preparation. It's like, to your point, there's a script and that's all you're going to, and then it's just like, I don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
It's when people get in preservation mode, legacy preservation mode, I call it.
That's fascinating to see people who are able to do that in real time, to avoid saying anything that might set anybody off. And they usually have a pace. They can't talk too quickly.
Right.
That's a burden, though.
It really is.
Yeah.
But if you were like the dean of a college, one tiny slip up,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you lose your job. I'm so glad I don't have to live like that.
Same.
Well, and by the way, that's kind of my endless fascination with you. It's like a superpower. And of course, I'm always wanting to know what's the exact math that allows that to happen. Because you speak pretty off the cuff. You say things that are dangerous. People could take them the wrong way. You seem to not give a fuck, and it doesn't ever seem to burn you. And really, very few people are allowed to exist that way now. So I think that'll always be my great fascination with you.
I think it's different when you don't have a boss, really. You know?
Yeah,
Yes,
like
yes.
what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
Yes and no. We talked a lot about it in the first time I ever interviewed you. I said it's very different if you deliver the message you deliver versus Arnold Schwarzenegger says it. It's going to have a different reaction. You know, so there's these like built-in things that just makes one person or another, and it'll always be fascinating to me. I think increasingly in our culture, the few people that can do it get more and more valuable from my point of view. The satirist, the person who can poke fun at what we are, has decreased. It's almost an extension of the fourth estate in press. It's like it's necessary. We need comedic opinion and takes on things to remind us how fucking weird we are. It's like essential, I think. And the pool of people that are permitted to do it has just decreased over time. And so the people that are left, the Chappelles, all these different, you know, the handful of people, I'm like, we got to protect these people. Like David Sedaris must
gotta say-
always be free to write.
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
I love Dave Chappelle.
We
I love him.
We love
I
him.
love him. And fine, he
I love
says
the way
bad
he
shit.
moves.
And, oh,
I like the way that he talks to an audience.
the comfort level in his own body is so palpable. I've never seen someone so effortlessly exist as themselves and pull in history and educate you and make a brilliant joke and be dangerous. Like all of it's fucking happening in the most effortless way. Even if I don't agree with some of the shit, like I don't love his Saturday Night Live monologue, but I can live with that.
It seems like there's this new thing that you have to agree with 100% of what everybody says. I think 73%.
Yeah.
Is a lot.
Yeah.
I think Chappelle brought up that pimp book, didn't he, in a special recently? I think he did in one of his specials, and it was like so moving and so interesting, but I'm pretty sure that was the book.
Well, Iceberg Slim gives you pointers
Okay.
in the book. Like
Sure.
he tells you when you beat your whores,
Yeah.
you need to do it with wire coat hangers and where to hit them. It's pretty brutal. And what's interesting about it too is the slang that he uses, none of it endured.
Yeah.
None of it endured. When I read his books, I just keep a list. Sometimes I have to look it up.
Yeah, what did this
Like,
mean
yeah.
in 79?
Like he had a word for shoes, and I don't remember what it was now. And I had no idea it was shoes first time I read the book.
All right. Well, David, I adore you. So fun to meet you. And I want everyone to go see you on your speaking tour. Nothing could be more fun than an evening with David reading his brilliant work to you in the exact way it should be heard. So everyone check that out. I adore you. I look forward to number 5.
Thanks so much, Dax.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Monica.
Thank you.
So nice to be here.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman.
We are rolling now.
Okay.
We are B-rolling.
We weren't ABRing.
I mean, we were. The board was running, but
Okay, well, we weren't
board was
ABRing.
The power
no, I
was
have
on.
I have a backup recording of that whole conversation.
Okay, because
Oh, you do?
I told you a compliment.
Yeah, and about my clothing, which is a rare one.
I said, you look really nice. I like your outfit. I don't know if I said that, but that's what I was
You
thinking.
didn't? Okay, yeah.
And then I said, it looks like something Brad Pitt would wear.
Oh, there we go. That's what we're
I had
trying
to
to
set
get
it
to.
up.
Yeah, you did. You did a good job setting it up. You know what happened? There's a whole story here. So when we had Jake G on,
JG.
Jagers,
Yep.
I was wearing my green velvet jumpsuit onesie.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I had sweat a bit in the back. So I dropped the top of the onesie and put on a shirt so
Yeah.
that Jagers, wouldn't have to feel any dampness on my back.
Yeah.
And when I had the jumpsuit in just pants mode,
You loved it.
it occurred to me, oh, damn, I want some velvet pants.
Yes.
So really, right after that photo, I walked inside and started my search.
You are really turning into a shopper.
Shopinista.
Uh-huh.
So
Which
I got
is a ding, ding,
two.
ding for this episode, by the way.
Oh, it is.
Sedaris.
Oh, my God.
He loves shopping.
Oh, he's a shopaholic, perhaps. So I got these pair, which are green green. Like, what do we say? British racing forest green?
No, forest. Yeah.
Forest green.
Yeah.
With a bit of iridescence to them, right? Like if they catch the light weird, they get...
I think that's velvet.
Yeah, they look velvet.
Okay. And what was I saying? Velvet?
No, I'm just the iridescent is
That's
a
the
factor
nature-
of exactly. It's a
Okay.
factor of the velvet.
It's implicit in saying velvet, I guess.
Right, like it doesn't have shimmer
No.
or sequins or
You're
anything.
right. It's just velvet, and some side of it catches the light
That's right.
of the little hairs. So I got this green pair, and then I got a black pair.
Wow.
Hold on a second.
Bless you. What?
Did you hear the noise Rob just made?
You can tell that was me, not him.
Wait, what? I missed all of that.
I was on the verge of having a sneeze, and when I was sneezing, Rob went.
Oh, I thought that was
Shaggy
your
or Scoo-
sneeze because
I
I
think
looked
America
down.
did too, which is why I had to call him out.
Wow.
He gave me a Scooby Doo sneeze.
It did sound like your sneeze.
Hold on, I got.
Oh,
That was a
Shaggy?
No, Scooby
oh,
sneeze.
Scooby. Sure.
Yeah, Shaggy would be like, hey, Scoobs, I got a chew.
Oh,
That
wow.
would be Shaggy.
That was good.
Thank you.
People don't know why you're good at that, but we don't have to tell them.
We can totally tell them.
Do you want to?
Sure. There was a year of my life where I was directing the animated version of Scooby
You
Doo.
were, yeah.
And then, unceremoniously, I quit.
You
It's the only job
left.
I've ever quit
Yeah.
in my life, I think.
No,
And
you
truth be
quit
told-
CPK
/ yes. Yeah, you're right.
because you were mad at them for giving you a
I wasn't
date.
even mad.
Well, you were
I had
indignant.
Yeah, I thought it violated
Your
my
principles.
My principles. It did. To give me a 7 out of 10 on punctuality when I've been 15 minutes early, I literally, that's like, no.
I'm with you on this.
That's, yeah, I disagree. I dissent. Anywho,
Your actions needed to match up with your values. You couldn't work at a place that did something like that.
that was pretending 10 minutes, 15 minutes early was 7 out of 10. That was like, what world am I living in? What are the physics of that place?
I agree.
What's next?
Ugh.
You know?
Where will this lead?
I can't remember what I was talking about. Before. Quit Scooby Doo. Yeah. Wild ride there for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's someone was verbally and even more threatening my assistant at the time,
Yeah.
sending things to her home.
That was
It was a
crazy.
crazy work environment. And I had been working on it and I've been making really good progress. I think the way they do animation, or at least there, you do reels, and let's say there's 9 reels in a feature length movie. They're like, you know, between 15 and 20 minutes per reel.
Mm-hmm.
And you make a reel and then you bring it to the studio and they say either go back and redo that, or great, you're cleared to make the next reel. So I came on the project that it had already been being worked on for 2 years
Yeah.
and never got past the first reel stage.
Yeah.
So then I got it all the way to I had 7 reels complete.
Mhm.
We're getting pretty close to having at least the whole first sketch of the movie. They replaced the president, going to show him the 7 reels. And he's like, no, you guys need to start entirely over. And this is after I'm already trying to figure out the source of this threatening things to my assistant. And then at that point I was like, I don't think I can spend another year making these 7 reels.
Yeah.
And then they get another president in there. But funny enough, I didn't quit. I called my then agent to say, this is what happened when I showed all the reels. And he said, you got to get out of it. You're leaving. And I'm like, no, I can't quit. And he's like, you hate this. I've watched it. You've hated it. I'm not going to let you hate it for another year.
That's nice.
I'm calling in quitting for you. And I said, let me think about it. And he said, okay. And then he called me back and he's like, you're out. Everything's golden.
I already did it.
He did it. He knew I like the Michigan never quit, whatever thing in my head was not going to let me. And then thank God. But it was really hard. I went into I had I don't know, 2-month weird spiral about having
Quit.
I chalked it up to a failure. I came in to execute this movie that had been troubled.
Yeah.
And I failed at that,
Well-
at least through the eyes of the current then president, who's now out again. What do you think about failure? Have you ever quit a job?
Have I ever quit a
You
job?
quit
For
Soul Cycle.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I've moved on to other jobs.
Moved on
so
to
you
other jobs. Yeah.
have to quit or I'd be at the same job
That'd be great if you were still gainfully employed at your aunt's law firm in
Exactly.
Georgia, Soul Cycle, the gymnast studio.
Yeah. The cheerleading.
You just
gym.
collected all your jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never quit to just
To
quit.
just loaf.
I don't think. I mean, now I'm trying to.
And see, and I did.
I know, but
Like, I didn't have another thing. And in fact, that really spelled the end of me directing in ways because Chips at that point had come out and underperformed.
yeah.
And I at least was locked into that one. So that was still a shot at having a hit, and all that could bring me back. And then I just kind of quit on my remaining foot in the door.
Yeah.
I think that was what the month and a half, 2 months of like a little bit of panic was about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like you felt that was more permanent than it needed to be.
The directing title?
Yeah.
Well, right. As I said, I had been now at that point for 4 years living with the identity of I'm a writer director.
Yeah. And then you felt like that door closing was just like, that's closed. And
Slam
there's no,
shut.
Yeah.
Yes, which is, of course, over time proven not to be. I've been offered to direct other things since
Yeah.
then. Yeah. But at that time, I was like, well, that's that.
Yeah,
That's the end of that chapter of your life entirely. What do you do now?
Yeah.
It's all interesting. And here we are 5.5 years into this. And I don't know. The combination of maybe interviewing Kadams and watching the show
Mm-hmm.
has me going like, well, I don't know. Maybe I'd like to spend a few more years with those people at some point.
With those people.
The Parenthood cast.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
You're going to go back to parenthood, you mean?
Yeah. Like the thought of going back to Parenthood,
Oh.
which
yeah.
is a decade ago,
Okay.
is like something that would have never crossed my mind. And here we are. And I'm like, oh, yeah, if I could juggle all things and do that a few days a week, I would do that.
Yeah. Sounds fun.
All to say, I'm certain I don't know what I'm going to be doing ever. I can't really declare what I'm going to do. It doesn't work
No.
out that way for me.
Yeah. Well, for most, I think. I think if you have
Yeah,
such a tight grip, that normally doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a real moment.
Okay.
The idea of you going back to parenthood
Mm-hmm.
is scary for me.
I could sense there was a look on your
Well,
face.
wouldn't it be scary for you if I was like, I'm also going to take on an acting job?
It would be scary for me. If it were Parenthood
Mm-hmm.
and I knew it was an ensemble of 15 people and I knew that how they scheduled 2 episodes at a time.
Yeah.
And you really would be committing to 2 days a week.
Yeah.
It would be totally doable.
Yeah.
If you said you were becoming one of 3 leads of a network show, I'd be like, how on earth are you going to do that and do our show?
Right.
But this thing is so specific.
Yeah.
Parenthood.
Are you spoiling that this is like maybe a thing?
What is maybe a thing? Oh,
I mean,
no, it's not
weird
at
to-
all.
Okay. I was
no,
like,
no, it's not proposed. No one's
Okay.
ever even, I don't know how it would all work.
Right.
That's not even the point.
okay.
The point is the emotional feeling in my body when I'm watching that and looking at my current life and
Mhm.
thinking, is there space 2 days a week
Yeah.
to go see all these people I love?
Sure.
Man, and probably the purest way I would ever do something, which is like, I don't care about the job of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't care about the money. I don't care about whether it does well or not. It would just be to go see those people
Yeah.
and play with them
Yeah.
and interact with them a couple days
I
a week.
get the allure. I
Mhm.
definitely do. I guess this is like if you're in a relationship, right? Like,
And someone wants to join a bowling league or something.
well, no, if they want to be in another relationship, like,
oh,
it's like, aren't you getting enough here? I think that's what's being triggered a little bit.
right.
Like, why do you need to go there? Aren't you getting all those things here?
Okay, great. So yeah, I'm getting everything I need here.
But you're not. 'cause-
But I would say like, well, why do you go on vacation? Aren't you getting everything you need at work?
no,
True. No, hold on.
Really?
Yes, because again, I wouldn't be going to Parenthood for an occupation. I would love a scheduled hang with these people that I love.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying anything you would do for fun outside of this podcast,
Mhm.
that is not threatening. If I go tomorrow, I'm going with my dad,
Yes.
Tom Hansen. We're going to do a car day, Angeles Crest.
Yeah.
You don't go, well, aren't you getting everything at the podcast when you hear that, are you?
No, I'm
It's
not.
because it's framed as work, right?
Right, but there's a reality to work versus the motorcycle day.
Most work, yes.
But there is, like, I mean, we can't say that if they need you to shoot a scene on this day, you have to be there. And we're like, but we have this interview that we want to schedule. You have to be realistic that those things would come up. And then you're having to make decisions. And that is the part that feels, scary, I guess.
Yeah. First of all, I understand that.
Yeah.
But there's two, I think we need to parse out what is what.
Okay.
One is a scheduling fear.
Yeah.
The thing you just mentioned is a scheduling fear.
Sure.
Let's say there's a world in which they're not doing 22 episodes like they did last time. It's not going to go to network. It's going to be on some streamer. There's going to be 10.
Yeah.
And I would go ahead of time. I'd need to know that I only work on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. If those are going to be some negotiated.
That sounds like way too much. How about Monday for 3 hours?
Mondays and Friday.
Sure.
Whatever the thing, let's just say there's a world in which I'm only committing to 2 days a week and it's known.
Yeah.
Then there isn't a scheduling issue, really.
Mm-hmm.
We always have 2 days worth of time often. Not always.
Not always.
Not always. We do 3 shows a week now.
And if Letterman says, I want to come tomorrow, we can't. Dax is...
He has to come to set.
He is his other job. It becomes a honestly, it's just about my fear of not feeling prioritized in life in general. That I'm bringing into this.
Right. So I think that's the second. Here's what I would compare it to.
Okay.
Often when people are cheated on, they want to really anchor the debate in how unsafe it was. Were you safe? Did you wear protection?
Oh.
Did you threaten my health?
Oh, interesting.
Yes, I've heard a lot of these.
That makes sense.
Sure, it makes sense. It's logically defendable, but it's actually a facade for what's really going on. It's something much bigger.
Yeah, it's how much did you prioritize that over me? And health is a piece. It's like, you haven't thought about me once in this whole thing. You didn't think about how healthy, how you could hurt, And
it's true. It's logically true, but I don't think that's the thing that's really hurting somebody's soul. Is the notion that they might have to get a penicillin shot because chlamydia entered their life. Yeah.
I'm saying that is translated. What it means is, how much did you prioritize that person over me?
Yep. But then what happens is the people end up getting in some argument about sexual health.
Sure. Which is,
it's not really nearing the actual issue.
Right.
In my opinion. So that's why I'm parsing out, there's a world in which there isn't a scheduling. The real issue is, why isn't this enough for you?
I know. I said that.
You did. Yeah, I'm not saying you're in denial.
Okay.
And the truth is, this is enough for me, as it's been. Although I will add, 3 of the 5 years I was doing other TV shows. They were much harder. I was on 2 shows at once, and we were recording this show.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, that you found a way to prioritize it, even when your schedule was crazy.
Yeah, the show still was everything, So there's a world in which that's not the issue. But the bigger issue is, this is enough for me. And I have an appetite that's endless. If I can have all the things I want in life, I'm going to probably attempt to get that until things start getting dropped. And I have to say, I've overcommitted and people are suffering now in my life, or I'm not available, or I'm not this, or I'm not that.
Right.
Because in my mind, this is the same as you going shopping. It's just something you love. Like parenthood's something I love. If there was a way for me to do something I love without jeopardizing the other things that I love and are my number one priority, then I would want to do that.
I guess maybe it's like this weird ingrained thing I have from my parents, I think. Well, you can't have everything you want. You can't have everything you want. So
you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, that's a thing they've put in me. You're just not going to have everything you want.
Yep.
So get comfortable with that. And you can have a couple things you want, but you're not going to have everything you want.
But that statement's always in response to disappointment.
No,
that's
not just from my parents.
No, they're just waking you up and going, "Hey, Monica, good morning. Remember, you're not going to get everything you want." Or is it
kind of?
Or is it, I want to go to the dance, but I have cheer rehearsal, and then they go, "Well, yeah, you can't have everything."
No, it's I want to be an actress, and I want to make a lot of money, and I want this, and I want this, and it's kind of you're not going to have everything you want. You're going to have
Right.
to make some choices in life, and you're going to have to decide. Like, okay, I want security, so that means I do this. But I want creativity, so that means I mean, they're wrong. I got everything. I did get it.
Yeah.
They were wrong.
Yeah.
But that's like in me. That will always be in me. When people are attempting to get absolutely everything they want, there's like a little something that I don't know. It's weird.
Well, it's
like
also
maybe feels greedy or something. I don't know.
Sure.
Which is not right.
And I'm a greedy pig. I'm on planet Earth to do like every conceivable thing I can.
I'm not judging.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just admitting to you who I am.
Yeah.
I'm an insanely greedy pig. I want to be great at riding motorcycles on the track, and I want to be great at driving cars. Most people pick a lane, not me. I'm doing it, and I want to be a great off-road racer. I want to do anything that interests me. I'm going to try to devour,
Yeah. I think that's good.
and it often doesn't work out. But I think the core thing, which is we've already had these conversations a million times over the last 5 years, which is there's something scary at the notion that people you love other people a lot as well. And that somehow you would be demoted because of love for someone else.
Yeah. I do have a lot of fear around that.
You have kind of a more, not finite, but a more finite version of love.
Yeah.
And I have more of an infinite one. Just as I think our core genetic dispositions.
Yeah.
It extends to
Today.
like delta. Like you'll even say to, oh great, now this is her best friend or this is her best friend.
But I've told you also I have the fear gets triggered.
Right.
But then there is something with her that I feel
That
safe.
is foundational.
Yes, I feel safe.
Yes.
But I think with her, she's an exception. She really, like, that's very weird that I feel fine.
Safe in her love.
Despite.
How many? She is
Yeah, she has so many. She
quadrillion.
just collects people.
Yes.
But I think it's because I've been around since she was 3 months old. There's that, and this must be what it's like, I guess, to have kids or something even remotely like it, where it actually doesn't matter. She's the only person it doesn't matter to me that it's reciprocal.
It's like unconditional.
I just love her.
That's right.
So much, and that's never going away. It's so intense and real, and it's just how I feel about her. It's how I'll feel about her for the rest of my life, and it doesn't have to be matched to everyone else in my life. I need it to be reciprocal.
Yes, and you did just completely isolate the magic ingredient of being a parent.
Yeah.
Which is these are the first two human beings.
Yeah.
That I need nothing back from.
Yeah.
Just the joy I get from loving them in one direction is totally fulfilling. Within it is the most aspirational version of love.
Sure.
That's why it's a profound experience.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe I brought this up, but my newest interest or thought I keep ruminating on, and I can tell you where it comes from. I think it'll make more sense if I'm listening to Mark Maron on Howard Stern about 3 weeks ago. It was sent to me by my good friend, Fred. So he sent me, he's like, hey, have you listened to this interview? It's like a masterclass, like two fucking pros at this.
Ooh.
And it really is a fantastic interview. They're both so brilliant. There's no question about it. But so much of Maron's content is in his newest stand-up and previous stand-ups is about his parents who were both narcissists, according to him. One was a surgeon, one was this. Very disappointed in his parents. Howard also's got a lot of complaints about his parents. And, Maron's going on and on about it. And I'm like, I had the thought, how long is he going to focus on the love he didn't receive? When will he start asking himself, how much love have I given?
Right.
Who have I provided this thing I wanted from them, that I expected from them, that I think I deserved? Who am I giving this thing to that I think is so essential? We have a habit of evaluating what we didn't get.
Yeah.
All of us, me for sure. And I don't think it's the right question to ask ourselves. I think the question to ask is not how someone should have loved you. Who are you loving in a way that you're proud of?
Yeah.
That's giving them this thing you desired. Because I actually think Happiness is on the other side of that. Happiness actually isn't on the other side of receiving love.
Yeah.
It's on the other side of giving it
Well-
and providing and nurturing.
Yeah.
Those are what make you love yourself, which is the ultimate goal. I could sit here and say to you, Monica, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. It won't actually penetrate whether you love yourself. It'd be great if it worked that way, but it doesn't. You have to love yourself and you have to do some things in order to love yourself. I happen to believe one of those things is blindly being of service to some other creatures and giving them this thing that you think is so vital, but being the giver of it.
Yeah. I do think though when it's parents, it's a bit different. You are owed love from your parents. I think they're the only two people or person or whatever that you are owed love and care. And so that's also the first example of love. So if you were not given a good example,
Yep.
it's very hard to give it to other people and model it and do what you're saying.
That's true. That's
So-
true. But I do know, and I know you know, a ton of people that actually had that. They had two loving parents.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it did not result in them loving themselves and having great self-esteem.
Right.
But I do see a baseline. I'm just observing anecdotally in the world.
Yeah.
I observe the parents that are truly giving as much as they can actually give.
Yes.
I see their baseline happiness, and it is above the people that are just looking around them to when are they receiving it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think there needs to be a bit of a shift, I think. Stop asking evaluating what you didn't get. You didn't get it. It's gone. You're not going back.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not arguing for not understanding your past. I think that's super important. But at some point, you have to flip the paradigm and go, fuck what I didn't get. What am I giving?
Yeah. I mean, there's all these different schools of thought. My therapist, I had therapy today.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. My therapist from early on said she's not really interested in like unpacking my past. Like sometimes it comes up and whatever. And of course things inform things, but she's like, that's not really what I do. We're here, we're in the present, and the goal is to figure out how to get where you want to be.
Yeah.
And not be so focused on behind.
Yeah. That's
So-
probably way more common than I know.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. But I like it. I like that approach. Yeah, anyway.
Anywho,
Okay, well that was a
nice exploration of
Tangent.
interpersonal relationships
Yeah.
and workplace. Rob, are you worried when I say I might want to be on Parenthood?
No, I think I relate to you, maybe for different reasons, or maybe from the same root reason.
Okay. What
From
is
like
what would
from
be
like
your
a
reason?
scarcity standpoint, it's like
Gobble it all
gobble up as much
as they is
as
offered
there
to you?
is an opportunity, because in my mind,
It's all going
it all
away.
goes away at some point.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
All right.
I did bring something in honor of David's fact check.
Oh, great.
Oh, you did? Yeah. Oh, this is exciting. Wow, he's always got the prezzies. Oh, a box of cunt chocolate.
Oh my God. Is this from that place? The museum?
Made
The
in
museum in
Tes-
Australia. They didn't have any of the soap left, but they had a chocolate version of it.
Oh, because it was vagina soap. But this is wow.
Cunt
Oh my God, what does
chocolate.
yours look like?
It's in the fridge, so because I've had it for a little while,
Ew.
so it's a little chalky.
Oh, wait.
Does yours look the same as mine, or are they
Let's
different?
see. A unique.
A mold of a vagina.
Oh my god. Oh, whoa. Mine. Wait, does yours have a big prolapse butthole?
But butthole.
I think
Mine
mine
doesn't have
melted
a-
in a weird way. Oh no, look at mine.
Wait.
Hold on, I gotta pull it out of its wrapper. Oh no, yours doesn't have it, does it? Look at this. Look at that.
Wait.
Does yours have that?
Pubic region.
Oh, I've never seen a vagina.
Wait.
Wait, that's the hair.
Ew.
Oh, look at this though. Doesn't that look like a prolapse butt?
Oh, it does. But yeah, no. Okay, mine is
Does yours
Mine is smooth.
Mine has a bush.
Yeah, they're
I
all
guess.
different. I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
they're all different. That's fun.
How did you know, Rob, to get me the one with a bush? This is a throwback.
Look, mine is very smooth.
Oh, yeah, yours is going to the beach.
Yeah. Lips are out.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wait, what does yours look like, Rob?
Somewhere in between.
Oh,
both.
wow.
I need you to come a
Yours-
little. This is hilarious.
Wow.
What a great gift. Wow.
Do you think these are actual molds from pygmies?
they're molds?
They're
He
not
said
no, that's too tiny of a vagina, Monica.
no, he said these are molds. The soap one was.
Yeah, he did say that.
Oh, you think maybe he doesn't know.
Well, I think the artist probably made sculptures that were maybe
Yeah.
real size, and then they
Shrunk.
productized them into soaps and chocolate. And
Yeah, just Monica, that's too small for a vagina. For the vulva. No.
yeah,
Yeah, at least in my travels.
I will. I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
do
push
some
back?
measuring.
Oh, okay. You should get in front of the mirror and hold yours up and
I
just
will.
see how it maps
I
out.
mean, I feel like this is
I think it's.
this is kind of the size of mine. I
oh,
think.
Jesus Christ.
I think.
This is Rob's Machiavellian way to find out more about your vagina. Yeah, no, that's Monica. That's you wait till you get it up. Well, again, I have no clue
I'll
what you
report
work. Maybe you have
back.
a miniature. It would make sense you have a miniature vagina, but
Is
you
this
tell us
miniature?
I mean, maybe not. Maybe.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'll do some exploring, I guess, later.
I'm gonna do a poll. I'm gonna ask all my girlfriends about the size versus. I'm gonna let them borrow this, and so they can put it up to their vaginas.
I don't know how to say this. There would be nothing
Ew.
left of this vagina if I tried to put my penis
No,
in
no,
this
no.
vagina.
This expand. This is just the front.
I
This isn't once
know.
it goes in.
I know, but Monica, that would mean okay. So listen,
Oh my god! I
You
feel like
know
I
how
have to
these
stand
work.
up and give.
no, listen,
tutorial.
Listen, I can't. This is pointless because no one can see this. But I will just say, your vagina is at the bottom 20% of the vulva. So that means the vagina.
No. Listen.
Okay, listen.
This is like, imagine that this is.
I'm so nervous.
Is stuck to the bottom.
Rob, get your camera.
It's like this.
Oh wow!
Okay?
Now that you hold it like
See?
that,
This is what it is, and then the penis
you look like such a pervert right now.
goes in and up.
Oh, wait, that's where penises go?
Yeah,
Okay.
you have a lot to learn. So,
I'm lucky
does
I
that
figured
make
out how to
sense
get these
though?
two
Sort
kids.
of what I said.
It does.
It's here.
Jesus.
This is it.
Oh my god. This is gonna.
You know it's worse because
this is
it's
gonna be a
brown,
viral-
and so it looks.
Is it
like,
worse or is it?
Looks like.
What
like
if people
mine.
really think there's a hole in your pants?
Yeah, I think it's accurate. Did you get it?
This is somehow. If we worked at a real corporation, we're done.
Well, I did it, and I'm a woman. I can talk about my.
Yeah, but then in the
Vagina.
court case, they'll be like, "Well, he had more power, and she was trying to, you know how
Impress
it goes."
you?
Yeah, just I have to leave the room. Well, then you would be. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, thank you
don't-
for the chocolates.
I think it would only be if I said he made me put that up against my vagina, and he wanted to
He
see
made-
it, and he said it looked like mine.
Oh, yeah, the word "made" is problematic.
Yeah, made is bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
keep that out of the testimony.
Wow, that was fun. Do you think they sell white chocolate, milk chocolate, and dark chocolate
To
get
service all the
different-
ethnicities?
Yeah.
They didn't have those options.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, fun. Okay. Doc Martens.
By the way, perfect fact check for Sedaris.
I know. I
In
mean,
the spirit.
yeah. Doc Marten, you said made like clown shoes. I think you are just mean their regular boot. It's pretty clowny.
Well, they had one particularly a steel-toed one.
Oh, steel toe.
Yeah, that had a really exaggerated, bigger, rounder cap to it. I don't know what the silhouette was called, but they were very rare, but people had them. They were a little more bulbous at the
I looked
end.
for Doc Marten clown shoe, and there are some clown shoes in the style of Doc Marten, but I couldn't find any that Doc Marten made that were like that were clown. But my docs are like, they have a very rounded toe.
I know yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like mine, but there were ones that were much more exaggerated in the
Okay.
80s and 90s. I don't even know. Maybe they still make them, but
Okay.
yeah, they had
I
kind
can't
of a
find it.
cool.
Steel toe work boots.
I see those, but those don't
Yeah.
look
No.
Not
rounded.
that big.
Okay, do flat feet make you more prone to bunions? Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes. Bunions, corns, and calluses can all result from flat feet because the condition causes part of your feet to rub uncomfortably against your shoes, leading to corns and calluses.
French bunion soup. That's where you get it.
That's right.
Without flat feet, we'd have no French bunion soup.
Okay, real quick. I thought I had appendicitis last night
You did. Because.
because I had pain
Okay.
and I didn't feel good. Then I thought, why don't we have the technology at this point to be able to attach a wand to your phone, open up the appendicitis app, just
Eric
scan
Topol.
it.
Remember Eric Topol? We talked to him like 4 years
I know,
ago. and
but
that was
we don't
supposed to be.
have it.
I know, but it like already existed 4 years ago. Why don't we have it?
It should be so easy to just scan the area and it just
Mhm.
tell you appendicitis, yes, no.
Right.
Like that's what they're doing. They're doing an ultrasound.
It would like in your case last night. It would have flashed red. No, 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 and then it'd say you have farts.
Actually, it wasn't farts because
was
if
it?
you have appendicitis, it's hard to fart. Actually,
Okay.
So I wasn't farting.
Okay. What was it though? Do you think?
I don't know.
I'm assuming it went away.
Today. I feel a little better.
Okay.
That's how I knew. I was like, if it's not getting worse, it's not appendicitis.
Right.
So I think it was just some intestinal
gas.
stuff. It wasn't gas.
Oh, sorry. That's generally why when you hurt down there, it's gas.
Okay, but it wasn't.
Okay.
Um,
Do you eat anything sharp, like a protractor or a?
Potato chip.
I
Did
had.
you forget to chew a potato chip? No, a tortilla chip is what it would
Ooh.
be. Those are robust.
I did have tortilla
there you
chips
go.
that morning.
do you ever puncture the roof of your mouth with a tortilla chip? I do it all the
No.
time.
Oh
do.
my God.
Yeah, or
Fucking
like
hate it.
wire gums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only eat Wusthof tortilla chips.
Oh, yeah. Those are, I mean, I have heard that they're
Really
very
s-
exclusive.
They're
and-
strong and they're sharp.
Yeah.
You know, I have the same Wusthof knife. I like to brag about this. I have the same Wusthof knife that my mother got me for Christmas when I was 19 and moved out.
And you're
on my own.
sharpening it regularly?
Yeah, I sharpen
Wow.
it before I use it.
I need to learn how to do that because my knives are getting dull because I cook
Yeah.
so much, but I don't know how to sharpen them.
There's two items I might suggest. One is, and I have one, it's
Uh-huh.
the Chef. There's a brand of like little small appliances, something Chef. This is a grinder. It's a diamond wheel grinder.
Ooh.
There's 3 grinding things.
Chef's
And-
choice.
Chef's choice.
Okay.
And then there's a slot. So you start in order. You go with the coarsest grinding wheel, and it's already at the perfect angle. You just run it through on the right side. Then it has a slot for the left side.
Okay.
You go back and forth twice. Then you move it to the middle grinding wheel, which is a little bit finer of a wheel. You run it through there twice. And then the final one is like this, some kind of a clothy material buffing thing. That's the third one. And you run it through twice. And then they're insanely sharp.
Oh.
That's the way to go. But for me, it's a pain in the ass to dig that fucking thing out of the top cover because it only
Yes.
gets used once a year. So it gets so buried that I
Right.
often don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other one I ordered off of television, and it's a stand-up unit.
Hello.
And then it has these 2 sharpening rods that crisscross, and you just run it straight down the middle. And I'll run it through 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And that gives it a nice enough edge to cut tomatoes.
Okay.
That's when I want my knife to be sharp the most.
This is a good time for Charlie to be here.
Perfect
'cause
time, Charlie,
He
yeah.
cooks food.
Charlie, they say life is all about timing. Can we test him and ask him if he thinks this is a 1-to-1 proportion?
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Unwrap that.
Wait, I want him to see mine instead.
Okay. Oh, wow. Monica really wants to show hers off.
Look
She
at-
posed for pictures with her.
You gave me a really good one.
You've really turned her
Okay,
out.
ready?
Rob.
I'm going to throw something at you.
You can't let it break.
Do not let it break.
Okay.
It's
Very
invaluable.
fragile.
Oh! Oh, my
He
God.
sacrificed his sunglasses for
Oh boy.
Yeah, you're already getting a sense of what. Okay.
Yep, that's what it. I thought.
That's what you thought
It's
it was.
an armpit.
Okay.
Now,
Armpit
do
chocolate.
you think it's proportional
You think that's the size of a vagina?
of mine? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm going to take that off the table.
She
But
already-
of A.
She already
of
put
A.
us through hell.
Yeah.
Yes! me too.
Okay.
I mean,
Oh my
Probably-
God, we're learning about so much.
Our wives' vaginas.
Yes.
No, but I want to be very clear.
Oh my God, you've said
It was
Kristen's
not.
vagina
No,
is huge.
it was not
Huge,
informed.
that's what I heard.
I said in all my travels.
Natalie
I
and Kristen's
specifically-
vaginas are huge.
Oh my God.
I would
We should
say
get
it's
those two big vaginas together.
it's on the smaller side, but it's not unrealistic.
Right.
Okay, here's mine, Charlie.
Oh,
I
they're
think
different.
they're the same.
Yeah, they're-
Mine's got a big bush.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unreasonable, but I think it's below average.
I think this is like 3/4 size.
No, 3/4.
Is this supposed to be like a mold, a cast?
Yes. And I think it's right.
It could be.
Yeah. Because I think Dax is holding it in the wrong location.
I don't know where. Yeah, I know nothing about. Monica's relishing on how uncomfortable we are. All are. Oh my God! Now she's fingering the chocolate.
But you're thinking it's this way. But
No,
it's
I
not.
know. Monica, I know
Then it
exactly.
could be this big around. This is just the very
The slit.
the part
What I'm
that
saying,
shows-
Monica, is I've put the head of my penis up against a vulva, and it didn't make the vulva disappear.
80% to scale, but I think there's a 20% variance
There's
across
so
the board.
much variance.
Yeah.
Everyone's vulva is great.
So now someone decided to make a mold and then make chocolate here.
This is for David Sedaris, fact check. He was telling us about some soaps he loves from Tasmania that are the mold of a vagina. And then Wobby Wob, because he's our in-house rascal, he immediately went online to get us a soap. They were sold out. He got us chocolate. So it was a big surprise.
Yeah.
And then a huge debate. But
That's a good
apparently,
chunk that's a good
Monica
chunk
has
of
a very
chocolate.
tiny vagina, is what she's telling the world. And
I guess.
Apparently.
I haven't seen very many.
congratulations, suitors.
Well, is it?
I don't want to even theorize what people are looking for. I've not ever heard a buddy go like,
That vagina was too small.
Oh,
I haven't
because
heard
of
that.
the
That's a great way to
tightness,
phrase
the
it. That's a great way to
tightness,
phrase it.
The
Yeah,
tightness. Okay.
Okay.
Everyone's body is
Perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
If any man is in any vagina, they're lucky.
That couldn't agree more.
Right. I've also rarely heard anyone complain.
Yeah.
True.
know.
True.
Yeah. There you go.
Eh,
Oh,
there were
God.
a couple spoiled guys in high school
Yeah.
that somehow they were like picky.
Ew,
Like,
about
get
the
over
vagina?
anything.
Well, I mean, yeah, people are picky about like faces and stuff.
But I think boys shouldn't be picky about girls. Like to Charlie's point and yours, if you get yourself there, lucky for you.
I agree.
You know,
It was
Yeah.
usually
Big
grooming
win.
though, not size.
well, that was on one of the topics.
Okay, what do you guys prefer? I'm gonna get all of you canceled.
I would have to answer that question with another question. Are you familiar with the Home Depot 5-gallon buckets? Do you know what those? Can you picture those?
The big orange
paint
buckets.
ones?
The big orange ones.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
No, I meant grooming. God. Grooming.
I think if I could say,
Okay, I'm going to give you permission to say.
okay.
Because if you just say, that's probably bad.
Well, here's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
That, in my opinion, would be like asking me, do I prefer women in dresses or overalls or jeans and a t-shirt? I like it all.
Whatever they want to be doing, it seems fine with you.
They don't care much, other than maybe they would prefer to just have it waxed because they're always in swimwear. I
Right.
don't know. But I don't, in my experience, I don't think the woman has like been so adamant about what she wants.
I have a preference.
You have a preference.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like clean.
Clean. Okay.
But I don't like the process of waxing. It sucks. It's so shitty.
Yeah.
The last time I did it, I thought, why the fuck do we have to do this?
Yeah, sure.
But I do like the result.
Right.
You like it
your
for you, or
chocolate.
you think that's preferred? So you
I like it for me,
for
I
you.
think. I just like the way it feels.
Sure. You like how it feels. How about you guys? Do you have a preference?
No.
Yeah.
Kind of what you're saying. Just
Whatever.
Surprise me.
Some
surprise
very,
me.
We've both been married for
Yeah.
long enough that it's
If she,
Well, it's better that you're
Kristen
married.
came around
Yeah.
the corner with like a foxy brown 70s bush, I'm like, whoa, look at, this would be an eye catcher.
But then it would
puffing
fall
out.
off
Yeah, I was
because she
gonna say-
doesn't have brown.
Well, that'd be a merkin.
yeah, she did a merkin.
She was
for
wearing a
you.
merkin.
Peeking out of the swimsuit.
Oh, sure. Let's put it this way.
Oh, yeah, that's a look.
Here's the thing, though. I think guys are bigger perverts than you give them credit for. Because I will say, if we were at a pool and we happened to notice her bush is hanging out,
You'd like
I
it.
would like it.
Yeah.
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 I'd be like, look at this gal. She's
Well,
got her own.
it's reminding you that there's a vagina in there.
Yes.
So I guess.
And it also maybe would signal some kind of confidence.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay.
You're juggling chainsaws right now because you're talking to 3 dudes.
I know. And I've already told you that sometimes that can feel like a lot for me.
I know, and
I'm
so
just
I'm
saying.
I'm actually
Everyone
trying to
needs
be
to be
ahead
on
of
alert.
that. Yeah, I'm ahead of that. I'm trying.
Are
to
you?
be, I'm trying to be cognizant of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Do you prefer?
Let's talk about homelessness.
What if you saw a guy in a Speedo and you saw tons of tufts
Hair?
of hair
Yeah,
popping out?
what's your male preference of
Yeah.
pubic hair style?
Thank you, Rob, for asking.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't think, to be honest, I don't think women, I mean, can't speak for all women.
Yeah.
I'm sure women have preferences. But I think because we live in a patriarchy,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think we think that's something we can think about. Does that make any sense? Like,
Does it matter your preference?
right.
Then-
Like, that's not even really in the
Well, I will
in
say
the
this:
stew.
it's pretty well.
It's just you get what you get and you don't get upset.
It's pretty. I don't think this is too provocative to suggest, but I think it's pretty well accepted. Men are more visual.
I don't know. We really would have to do some.
I
You
believe
mean
that.
on genitals?
Let's use a really hard example. 100% of men that would receive a picture of a girl's vagina
Uh-huh.
would like it. Like 100%.
Straight men.
Of straight men, thank you. Men will like a picture of someone's vagina sent to their phone. And women in general, but I'm going to say minimally, half don't want a dick pic. That's not for them. And no guys don't want a vagina picture. I think there is something different going on. Men don't, in general, read erotica. So we have different preferences
Yeah,
or
but-
baseline preferences. So I think whether or not there's hair on it for you, Kristen will always tell me, she's like, a dick, I don't care. It's like, who's the dick attached to? If the dick is attached to someone I'm super attracted to, then I'm super into the dick. Whereas I think guys are much more compartmentalized about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if the vagina is attached to
Someone I hate?
yeah, you
Fine.
ew.
And so would
I mean,
Charlie.
I mean, I
and
wouldn't
so would-
request it, but if it popped up on my
You would've
phone,
not
Yeah.
opened it.
I'd open it.
Yeah, I'm not requesting anyone's pictures of their vagina, but I like pictures of vaginas.
Okay.
Well, no, I think that reality might funnel into why you don't have a visual preference, whether hair, no hair. That's
I know,
my
but
suggestion.
can you also take what I said seriously too, which is that it is a world in which women do adapt a lot of their body to what is preferred, and I don't think that's always been the case for men. I think that's changing, by the way. I think women are doing less of that as a whole. There's more of like, do what you want and whatever. But for a long time, it's what does your partner want, and then you give them that. And for women, that's not part of the conversation. Like, you want me to shave my balls or not is like not as common of a question. I think everyone has aesthetic preferences in life. I
Yeah.
think women do and men do. I think when it comes to sex and genitals, it is less of a thing for women evaluating whether they like hair or no hair.
Now, I totally agree with you.
There's not waxing. There's waxing studios on every corner for everyone, but the percentage is
Or vastly women.
Of women, yeah.
I agree. And I completely agree with you that societally, it is less likely for a woman to request the man to groom in a certain way.
Yeah.
But that is a different.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, I thought we were talking about Rob asking you if you prefer hair or not hair.
Right.
And you said you don't have a preference.
Yeah, because I don't even think about it.
That's great. And I think there's an explanation for that. Now, societally, do they feel as comfortable asking? That's a side issue that I agree with you 100% on.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you don't have an aesthetic preference leads me to believe there is a little bit less visual component to your fantasies about men than maybe there are men towards women.
Yeah, perhaps.
Well, you probably care more about the important things you should care about.
Totally.
What it's
character, and
personality,
generosity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Covered it all.
Homelessness.
Homelessness.
I have so many facts.
Okay, great.
Okay, the homeless rate in Hawaii is 41 per 10,000.
Okay. That's 0.4%. That's less than half a percent of the population. 41
I'm
divided by
surprised
10,000.
because they have such a drug issue there.
And great weather. Like,
Right.
if I was going to be
that's how
homeless,
this,
I would save up, get myself a
That's
ticket.
how this started.
That's
That's how
how
this
it
conversation
started.
started. We were talking about like why the homeless situation so bad here, and he said, well, Sedaris said, well, the weather, and then Dax was saying, well, there's other places with good weather.
But obviously there is a bigger hurdle to buy a plane ticket to Hawaii. I think that's going to cut out 90% of the people that would have normally arrived by hitchhiking or bus.
True.
What's the rate here?
Okay, the rate here is estimated that 69,144 people were experiencing homelessness in LA County.
I'm going to call
Yeah.
that 70,000 just for the sake of this math.
And there are 3.8 million people here. Oh, wait, in LA. I don't know if that counts.
Oh,
LA
LA County, though.
Yeah, we need to do LA County.
Divided by. What's weird is it might end up tracking to be a similar percentage. There's just so many fucking.
It says LA County 9.83 million. That can't
Okay.
be copy.
So not terribly different. This would be 0.7%.
Okay.
The other one was, what'd I say, 4?
4.
Yeah, 004, and this is 007. So whatever, it's
Okay.
double, but there's some percentage-wise, it's not crazy difference.
Right.
But there's so damn many of us. And you know what? Let's be realistic. Fuck that LA County number. They're all in LA.
Yeah.
They're not in fucking the outskirts of
Yeah.
the valley. So I'm gonna. What was that?
3.849.
Out of 62,000, was it?
69,000.
Okay. All right. Now that's actually almost 2% of the population.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's 1.7% of the population. And that's really, I think, what it is. I know that there's 50,000 in downtown LA, something like that. So,
God.
yeah, almost 2% of the population is homeless.
We were just driving up in Eagle Rock and saw this like tiny home compound for homeless people.
Oh.
And it was a
really?
parking lot, looked like a rideshare parking lot. And they had all these tiny, must have been 100,
Little dwellings.
tiny little, like the size of a tool shed almost.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
And you could see and it was fenced off, and you could see in the center they had like, I don't know, public restrooms
Really?
and little sinks and things in the middle, like all these common area utilities. But it was kind of cool.
They did that by the zipline park
They
during
did?
the pandemic. That parking lot there, they had like RVs.
Riverside and Los Feliz Boulevard.
I
was
like
cool.
that.
It was cool.
Yeah.
And they're all lined, I mean,
They
I
had
don't
like
know.
a security guard there
Yeah.
to make sure things didn't get out of control.
Huh.
Yeah, this was
Interesting.
very much contained. And
Yeah.
I don't know, there was a ton of them, 100, 150 maybe.
Wow.
I think they do that in Portland,
I could see
or they're
that.
trying
Yeah,
to
I
do
don't
that
like
up
it.
there.
I don't
Oh.
like it. Yeah.
Why?
Because I think the goal is to not have people living on the street. And then I think them living in a shed on the street is like marginally better, but it's not actually what we want.
But
which is-
that's counterintuitive to you because you're a person who's like, people can kill themselves, people can do drugs, people can do what they want to do to themselves.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of like that, but still like in its own spot so that it's not affecting other people. I'm
But
for that.
my broader point is this. What we don't want is people living outside on the street dying and starving. That's what our humanity demands, that we don't let people fall through the cracks. Then it becomes, what is the best way to help people not die on the street, have shelter? So I think if what people want are services and help, which I think we humanely should be giving, I think we have to be pragmatic and realistic and design a system that's tenable. And I don't think in the heart of LA is the smart, nor do I think the heart of Manhattan or the heart of San Francisco is the place to do it. I think there's every other place in the country, you'd be getting 10x the value of your investment, and you could help 10x the amount of people. So I I
They're
don't
already
think it's
here. They're here. It's what do we do? That's fine if it was at the very beginning of this crisis, but it's not. There's, as we just said, 2% of the population here, so we have to do something.
building structures, permanent structures, is a commitment to keep doing it this way. It's an investment in that strategy. And I personally don't think the zipline park. No. Do I think 600 human beings should be living next to the kids' park that are doing drugs, high drug rate, high mental health issue rate? Do I think that they should all be parked next to the public zip line? I don't. I think you've prioritized the rights of some group over another group. So I think when
Well, it's to help the original group too, because it's so that it is contained and it's not just all over the city, your kids walking to school and stuff like that.
I totally recognize the intention and why it seems like a lesser of bad. But on the way to school, which is only a 7-minute drive, we see a naked human being twice a week.
Yeah.
We see someone shitting on the sidewalk twice a week. I would argue that kids have a right to live in a society where they don't have to watch adult human beings fight each other naked while shitting on the street. I think they have a right to that.
I agree. I think that's what these people are trying to say too. It's like, well, the best solution currently is to get these people to a spot so that that's not happening.
Yeah, and I don't think that spot should be in the center of a thriving metropolis.
Well, what about an hour out, Santa Clarita or
Love
Palmdale?
it. Love
Well,
it.
they're here because that's where all the people are. And that's
Where all
their
the money's
biggest
at.
incentive to be here. But
Yep.
if there was incentives to
That's
be
right.
somewhere else.
There's money here, there's food here, there's services here. So I would like to see the epicenter of those services, money and help, be moved out of the most expensive city in 400 miles.
It also
This
seems
isn't like an indictment on whether or not they should be helped. I think they should be helped. But I don't think it makes sense to try to help them in Bel Air.
Yeah, and I think there's too many temptations if you're just able to carry on with your drug or crime or whatever habit and not be forced to move somewhere that's detached and you can take advantage of the services. If you're in Santa Clarita, that's an hour bus ride and expensive to get there. And then you're forced to be like, all right, I can be in this comfortable space and maybe I'll start to take advantage of these services.
I don't know what the percentage is. There are numbers. The majority of them are addicts.
Well,
So it's like, it's really interesting when you think like, is it mean to not roll down the window and give someone $20? But then you think, oh, is that $20 going to get shot in their arm? It's fentanyl. I just killed that person. That was my contribution to help them. I gave them $20, which was a big enough hit to kill themselves. They're not going out and buying Boston Market with that $20. They're buying more drugs. So you're like aiding in someone's addiction. I don't think that's helpful to aid in someone's addiction or keep someone high. So yeah, should they be directly next to the supply line of all the drugs in this city as a place for them to rehabilitate? I don't think so. I don't know. Would I start a treatment center inside of a bar? Probably not.
Well, I mean, downtown is madness.
It's absolute for anyone who's
is.
like has in their mind. Yeah, I just think before you have an opinion on it, you should drive through downtown LA. I think
and-
you owe it to yourself before you have an opinion.
And that's also where
it's
all
not
the
humane.
shelters are.
It's
No.
not fucking humane.
No,
You
it's
will
really
not drive
bad.
through downtown where everything that can be done is being done and think this was great. These people are thriving and then they're being helped. It's as close as you can get to entering a zombie apocalypse movie. There are just thousands of people in the middle of the street, disoriented and high out of their mind.
And right outside of a shelter.
Yeah. So, you know,
Like those are where the services and all of this is, and it's not.
we have to be big
it's
enough like
bad.
it's science when we acknowledge when we tried a method and it didn't work. I mean, it's done nothing but increase
Well,
homelessness
I think
year
this
to
is
year
a
to year.
different method, right? Like this
Yeah.
new thing is trying to be and do a new thing. This obviously,
Yeah.
nothing we've done has worked. This is it's only gotten worse. It's increase and increase and increase. I think now there's trying some new solutions. I think this is one of them, and we'll see. Maybe I don't know.
I mean, there's an argument to be made that we should be making it harder to be homeless, not easier. If we incentivize it, we know what the outcome will be. And it feels very inhumane, but from a 30,000-foot view and over the span of history, we might recognize that what felt like an inhumane answer was weirdly the most humane answer, which is like, we're not going to aid and abet. Instead of building sheds all over town, The real call would be like, why don't we have very well-run, well-funded state mental health institutes that are not like the weird prisons that were in upstate New York where people were getting harmed? But like, why is there no investment in the solution? Multiple treatment centers, multiple mental health facilities, it's such a Band-Aid that just put a shed in a parking lot and say like, well, this will help.
Well, I wonder if both are happy. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
don't either.
Yeah, I wonder if there's criteria like, hey, we'll give you all this, and we'll give you food, we'll give you water, all this shelter, but you have to do 2 classes. You got to do a check-in. You got to do a doctor visit, drug test, whatever.
Yeah, and that's the discouraging aspect. Is I mostly hear this in AA meetings because there's a lot of dudes who volunteer at. There's like Midnight Mission's a great one. There's a bunch of different sobriety outreach programs, and what they will tell you is that there's a ton of empty beds. You got to piss clean to sleep in one. They're not going to piss clean.
Yeah.
So then you go like, well, you're not entitled to tell them whether they can be high or not.
Well, no, I don't think it's about entitlement. It's just like,
no, there are people going, that's a very patriarchal, I've heard this is the argument in Australia. It's like, well, their system's so patriarchal, they insist that they don't do drugs.
I guess the thing is, take those people out of it, but just the reality of the situation. If you're saying that you have to piss clean and then they don't, then we're back at square one. Then they're just on the street again and we're dealing with it.
And then I would say if you want to spend your life inebriated wandering around, I'm fine with that. You have your liberty to do that, but it can't be in this city where everyone's working.
But what do you mean can't? What do you do? What do you do? Move them to another place? So walk on back. Like, I don't like, I see what I'm with you, but I think they'll just come back. If we make it illegal, then we're going to jail them. So we're going to jail all these people. And we don't. So that's going to cost us money also.
I think part of it should be if they have a license, where are they from? You need to go back home. You need to go to your network.
Yeah. But then that's just like assuming they'll listen.
And well, you give them options. You wake up, you go, hey, you can't, there's no camping in LA. Mm-hmm. Here are your options. We got a great treatment facility you could enter. We'll pay for it. We got a great mental health hospital you could enter and begin treatment. Or here's a bus ticket back to your family members. Those are your 3 options. You have to take one of them, or you go to jail.
Okay.
But camping on the sidewalk is not permitted in this city.
Yeah.
Nor is opening up a factory on the sidewalk.
So many people have such severe mental disorders that going up, I mean, he made a joke about this, like, he's like, you give somebody a $50 bill and they think it's like a picture of a mushroom, it's like, that is the truth that so many people here.
Oh, right.
You couldn't go up to them and say, here are your options. I mean, they're just going to be like spinning around you. Like they don't.
Well, I would argue though,
they're not coherent.
If you put an addict in a holding cell and they start detoxing, I believe most of them ring the bell pretty shortly and say, please direct me to the treatment center.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But then will they just leave the treatment center?
The problem is cherry picking these services. Like they're popping in for a hot meal at this shelter, but not being clean because they can get what they need from this. They
not doing the work treatment or the work program.
Yeah, just cherry picking. So if they're like you said, if there was a way to cut everything off,
except
with a switch,
with a switch, yeah. It's like the gun switch. It's like, yeah, I'm against guns. Let's hit the switch.
And then say, okay, now here are all of these things. There's food, there's education, there's treatment, there's you name it. But you don't get to pick which one to use. It's just
not
like
a la
anything.
carte.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like anything, you have to agree to certain things. But
all
how
of
do you
this
do that?
is like in theory.
Yeah,
yes.
totally,
In theory, I think everyone would agree with this. It's what do we do now with the 69,000 people?
Yeah.
2%.
And all I would say to that is whatever we've been doing doesn't work.
Yeah. I think most people would agree, but I just don't know.
I don't know. Like David had a segment and he met a woman who's like, she's spending all of her time buying more and more tents to give to people. For her, that's the solution. And I understand that for a lot of people. A lot of people, the best part of themselves does not want to see a human suffer and not have shelter, food, and water. And that's beautiful. But it does require you just really work through all of it.
Yeah. No, I know.
Because they're not going to.
And that population is so huge that the experience helping is probably so vast. If you go try to help people downtown, it's going to be different than a homeless family you find in Studio City.
Yeah.
And so you might think like, oh, I helped them so much, I can do this for everyone, or this is the answer for everyone.
Yeah.
But it's so different.
Right.
Because there's 70,000.
Well, and I've brought this up on here before. It's a really, really high number. Like 70% of people on the streets are from the foster care system, which is absolutely heartbreaking. And all the more reason to feel compassion and want to help. But what is helpful? That's the real question.
Well,
What
we
is
definitely
helpful?
need to do something about the foster care system.
Yes. And then you get into, and then this is why I'm a liberal, which is like, it's all upstream
Exactly.
and you cannot get anyone to commit to investing upstream. And it's so much
understand
cheaper, you know, like, yeah, we could either build 100 hospitals in California to deal with this, or we might actually make the foster system
I know.
something really
Sustainable.
admirable around the world.
Yeah.
But we're unwilling to do that.
It's so annoying. Okay. Last thing on homelessness, but very relevant. How many homeless people died in LA during the pandemic?
Okay.
California saw a surge in homeless deaths during the pandemic, but for a number of reasons, that same surge did not happen across the country. 3 times as many homeless people died in LA County as in New York City during the first year of the pandemic. Okay, there's a number. Do you want to guess it?
Just a raw number.
A report published on Friday said that blank homeless people died in the county from April 2020 through March 2021. It's a number and then also a percentage from the 12 months before the pandemic.
1,800.
I'm going to say 69 people.
Let's say 36 people.
2,000 people.
Mm.
A 56% increase from the 12 months before the pandemic began.
56%.
So I do think this thought that like they won't just sit and die is not necessarily
Although
true.
they might have died of COVID. That seems most likely to
maybe,
me.
but maybe.
Because they weren't separating, they weren't social distancing, they weren't wearing masks, they didn't get the vaccine.
Right. Anyway, okay, real quick. Okay, it is Iceberg Slim that Chappelle talks about in Bird Revelation. Is England more literate than the U.S.? Nope. Similar. Germany and England are similar to the U.S. This score is higher than the average in France, Italy, Poland, and Spain, but lower than Australia, Canada, and Japan. Oh, he was wrong about you messing up the postcard. After we stopped recording, we realized you were right. You had the address on the right side, on the correct side of the postcard.
Thank you for pointing that
Yes,
out. Yeah.
he was wrong about that.
It was his lovely husband who pointed it out, I think. He started busting him.
Also, we are not saying, we cannot confirm that bestiality happens in Normandy. We are not saying that.
Okay.
Okay?
Can you get sued by a region of a country?
I don't know. But I also don't want to
Liable.
spread that if it's not true. Okay, that's pretty much it.
There was a weird Vice doc I watched about kids in South America who practice sex on donkeys.
Oh God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a troubling segment.
Wow. I don't feel like we should end on that note. They should practice with these chocolate vaginas instead of the donkeys.
This is primed for an experiment if you can pick, and they know what's the best seller.
Oh.
Then, I mean, this is just primed to get some data.
Some real
Although I
data.
think
Disguised as
most
chocolate.
people who are buying it are
It's an
like
art
trying to
museum.
be funny.
You might go for a big boy just to get more chocolate. There's multiple
Sure.
incentives working. Like, give me that big boy. I'm hungry for some chocolate.
Stop calling it a big boy. Sedaris is the type who's buying these, and he's buying the most pop out ones.
Yeah, he would ideally like one exactly where there's a monster coming out of the inside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's more the type that.
Or a succubus.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
ding ding ding.
Dingles.
Zoe Deutsch. She doesn't have one, but
She
people
might.
made fun of her. They
Yeah.
bullied her.
I think we can end on that note.
No.
That Zoe Deutsch is not a succubus. I love you.
Well, did Charlie want to say anything else?
No.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Love you guys.